Are we live? Okay, good morning. We are live in Beijing. Welcome to our very first YouTube live stream. First, I would like to thank Carol of the Yale Beijing Center. She and her team have put everything together, and it's going to be a fantastic 2 weeks with Carol and her team. So thanks so much, Carol, for putting this together. I would also like to thank everyone who is in the room today. Some of you have come a very long way. I promise you this will be a very interesting class. I hope this is a life-transforming experience for you. Dante is the greatest writer of all time. And third, I want to thank everyone who is participating in the live stream all around the world. We are having someone monitor the chat. So if you have a question, feel free to ask a question on chat and we'll respond in real time. So we will begin class, but first I would like to introduce Carol and maybe introduce your beautiful center.
Thank you. Thank you, John. So hello and welcome. My name is Carol Lee Rafferty. I am a Yale College alumna and John's classmate.
Yep. We saw each other at Yale.
That's right.
Yeah.
For those new to Yale Center Beijing, Yale Center Beijing since 2014 is Yale University's first university-wide center outside of its campus and a place for intellectual dialogue and the exchange of ideas. Through workshops such as today's, we seek to advance Yale University's mission to create, disseminate, and preserve knowledge. So why are we here? Zhang and I were classmates and schoolmates about 25 years ago. We are now both parents of 3 children.
Yep.
And like many parents, we wish to not only pass on knowledge to the next generation, but also wisdom, a deeper understanding of what it means to be human. Yale's motto is Lux et Veritas in Latin and Urim Tumim in Hebrew, which means light and truth. So through the exploration of Dante and the great books, we hope you will encounter beauty, light, and truth, and also be able to wrestle with humanity's oldest questions. What does it mean to be human? How should we live? What is worth striving for? And that's why we're so excited to be doing this workshop together.
And Dante will answer these questions.
Yeah. And without further ado, I'll turn it back to Zhang and begin our journey with Dante and the Great Books.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so as you can see from the screen, we will be using this website that anyone can use. It's all free. The website address is there. So the Divine Comedy is divided into 3 parts: Inferno, Purgatory, and Paradise. What we will do, which is very strange, is we are going to actually start in part 3. It'll become obvious to you over time why we're doing that, okay? So today we are going to start with Canto 1 of Paradise. And the translation we will use is Mannabaum, Alan Mannabaum. So if you are watching this on a live stream, please go to the website, or you can just watch the screen, because we will have the entire text on the screen. But this resource is extremely valuable, and we will be using it this entire 2 weeks. Okay, so the first thing I asked you guys to do was write 1 paragraph about what heaven is. Do we have any volunteers who can share? Yes. What is? Yes. Go ahead, please.
And you'll need to either use a handheld or press down on one of the mics. Yeah. Continuously. Thanks.
Heaven is a place of fulfillment, peace, and harmony where every entity can coexist. Negative feelings and behavior do not occur. We feel elevated by the fact that it feels like a destination and we are the best versions of ourselves. It's like we're above all what we have been through to only keep the best. Heaven has more to my eyes of a feeling aspect than a visual one. I could still imagine having bright, vibrant colors, flowers, and animals.
Great. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. Anyone else? Yes.
Personally, I do not believe in the existence of heaven. Or if by some chance it does exist, I do not believe in its ubiquity.
Yeah, that's not the answer I want, though.
And yeah, well, that's a surprise because I didn't think that was the answer you want. If there exists a heaven in any means of the word for any religion, I would think that it's a place of joy, but also of exclusion and stagnation. The ideas of heaven are so radically different from one religion to another that reconciliation seems impossible, in which case heaven must be segregated. There is no change in heaven, it being in definition a deathless and perfect place, and so heaven is stagnation. Heaven is a construct comprised of the idea of what is good, held by each individual faithful. It is not essentially good except to the one who created it. It is the ultimate expression of blind faith.
Okay, so that's very interesting because to answer this question, you're using logic and reason, and this is something that they might ask you to do on the AP literature examination. For this class, if we are truly to embrace Dante, we have to use our intuition and imagination, okay? That's something that will become much more clear as we read Dante. But the imagination is what will lead you to the truth, all right? We have someone here, yes?
To me, paradise is a place for eternal peace and happiness. There's no past and future, just eternal. Everyone there are full of meaning and purpose. The kind of joy and beauty in heaven is unfathomable. All the love and consciousness is intertwined together.
That's beautiful, yeah. So perfection, something that is pure joy, beyond our imagination. Yeah, good. Anyone else? Yes?
I think it's where God is. So it's the typical Christian or Catholic view of life everlasting in the presence of God, eternal life, singing and worshiping God, and doing whatever you love most in your little house or mansion that God has rewarded you based on what you have done in your present life, I guess.
Yeah, so that's very interesting because what you just said is exactly what Augustine wrote in The City of God. He explained heaven as a place where you are right beside God and you're all singing together in unison. Have you read Augustine before? Okay, but that's a very Augustine answer. Yes?
Hello, can you hear me? I think heaven's for us to meet God and to have a spiritual and intellectual connection with God and other divine forces. It's a place where we put down our ego and fear and engage in the act of a salvation and personal enlightenment.
Good, yeah. So ego and fear are things that bind us to this material world. Thank you. Yes?
Can you hear me? Okay. So as if I were in heaven, and maybe Bruce Lee would lead me into the Kung Fu universe, because I'm a big fan of Bruce Lee and Kung Fu and philosophy, and then I could see my grandma and who would smile at me and embrace me into the arms, and I also can see the tree-like stuffs, and which can let people to see the messages from the living world. And people who come from the living world would be nice to come to this new world. And since there's no rule, no law, but only the people who believe in their faith and destiny. And meanwhile, I also can sense the God or Buddha or like who just sitting right there and keep lecturing to the people with their wisdom and thoughts. And of course, there was a boat which can transfer people from the dark sea to the other shores, and there must be a lady like beauty who spread happiness and merry seas to all of them. And if people who want to fly must be permitted, so they could fly high above the ocean. And lastly, when I was in that world, and there was no flash, so people don't need to worry about overweight or ugly outlook, since everyone looked as light bulb or luminous existence. So that is my imagination.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So what you're saying is that heaven is individualized, meaning that whatever you perceive it is, it becomes. Okay, that's a very interesting idea. Any more ideas? Okay, all right, good. All right, so let's begin, all right? So we're going to go to Canto 1 of Paradise, and we're going to use the Mandelbaum translation. And to set context, again, there are three different parts to the Divine Comedy. There's Inferno, there's Purgatory, and then there is Paradise. And what's happening is that the Divine Comedy, it is a pilgrim's journey where Dante is traveling across the universe in order to meet God. And he now has reached paradise. And his guide in paradise is Beatrice, his long-lost love. And now they are flying throughout the cosmos on their way to meet God. And the heavens is divided into 9 different spheres, okay? And the point I'm trying to make is that Dante's perception or conception of the heavens is unique. No one else has imagined heaven the way that Dante has, and no one will probably ever imagine the way that he has. Okay, so what we're trying to do these first 2 days is try to figure out what Dante's cosmology is, what his understanding of the heavens is, and why he has constructed the heavens in the way that he has. Okay, so for the first day, we're going to go very slowly. We're going to establish the themes, the motifs, the concepts that's going to help us truly understand the Divine Comedy, okay? So, Carol, could you please go ahead and read the first 3 lines, the first set, yes.
The glory of, is it picking up? Okay. The glory of the one who moves all things, permeates the universe and glows, in one part more and in another less. Okay,
all right, so we're going to analyze these 3 lines. But before I do so, I want to introduce you to 2 literary concepts that we'll be using a lot when we analyze the Divine Comedy. The first is the idea of paradox. And this is actually the main literary device that Dante will use throughout the Divine Comedy, where things are not as simple as they seem. There's a contradiction in the idea, and it is your responsibility to try to unpack or reconcile the contradiction. And through this process, it is going to heighten your imagination and draw you closer to God, okay? So this is the main literary device we'll be analyzing throughout these two weeks, okay? The idea of a paradox. Second idea that we will be looking at is possibilities. Possibilities are created by 2 concepts, ambiguity as well as economy. Economy, for those of you who study poetry, it just means to use as few words as possible to describe as much as possible. Ambiguity means that a sentence or a word can contain multiple meanings. Okay? So these are the 2 major literary devices we will be studying in the Divine Comedy. So first question is, what is the paradox in these 3 lines? What's the paradox here? Yes?
Well, I'm just shooting in the dark here. I'm not sure if I'm right, but I would think that the glory of the one who moves all things. By definition, God is omnipotent and omnipresent. However, it says in the 3rd line that it permeates the universe and glows in one part more and in another less, meaning that there's inequality even in heaven.
Yeah, that's exactly
With the wrong choices, probably.
being created, and only or cannot
Ask.
the writer, the guy who wrote this thing, okay? These are not the same people. There is the protagonist, there is the historical Dante, and there's the writer, the poet, okay? Let me ask you this question, right? Not the protagonist, the poet, all right? So what's happening is that this journey that Dante went on in the heavens, this is a long time ago. And Dante the poet is sitting at home. No, they are protagonists. But the common man is not in the artwork. It's not in the literature. But who's the main protagonist of the Divine Comedy? A common man, Dante. Okay? Poet. So again, this is paradoxical, where he is invoking Apollo in order to describe a Christian heaven. Okay? Keep on going.
That person was running from Apollo because Apollo was chasing her, and that person told Athena medieval Christian art and even the Catholic Church in Dante's time suppressed creativity and promoted God-fearing humility. So how is that different?
Okay, that's a good question. So we're talking about medieval Christian Europe in the year 1300, right? But this is referring to Jesus at the time of his crucifixion, which is about the year 33, around 33, okay? All right? For the Christians in this room, why did Jesus have to die? Why was his crucifixion, his death, such a historical event? Why? Yes?
Because there's no way for man himself to atone for his sins, and man cannot be sinless, stainless, so to pay the price for his actions. So,
And what was Jesus?
So Jesus was the faultless lamb who can die for people.
No. What was Jesus?
Son of God.
Yes.
So God himself has to come.
The Son of God, who is what?
Who is the Messiah?
Sinless.
Who is but is he a man or is he not a man?
He's both. So he's
Exactly.
both.
You understand this, okay? You understand. This is important. He is both Son of God and he's a man as well. You understand? Okay? And if you're not a Christian, it's kind of weird, but for like 2,000 years, they argued about this, okay? But Jesus, if you want to understand Christianity, you need to understand that Jesus was both a man as well as a God. And if you're a man and you're able to redeem all of humanity, now you have agency, right? Now you are able to mark a new period in human history. So what's happened is that in the pagan worldview, the universe, it's a circle. It's a procession of equinoxes, okay? It's an endless, seamless cycle, okay? Like the seasons. There's winter, which gives rise to spring, which gives rise to summer, then autumn, and so on and on and on. There's nothing you can do about it, okay? But with Jesus, the circle now becomes a line, right? The circle becomes a line. So when you put together the four circles and the three crosses, you get a new beginning of human history in which the individual matters now. Yes?
But that was what the Catholic Church wanted to suppress, right? Like this this knowledge that you can free yourself. So the Catholic Church said, no, you need us to get to heaven.
Right. So exactly. So, and this is what Dante is saying. He's saying that the Catholic Church and Jesus and Christianity, these aren't necessarily the same things. Okay. All right. So with his poetry, Dante is trying to create a new understanding of Christianity. And this, again, is what gives rise to the Renaissance as well as modernity. Okay, but does this make sense to you? Okay, and what he's doing that's really important is he's creating paradoxes, right? Why is paganism, a symbol of paganism, the four circles, why is it linked to the symbol of Christianity, the three crosses? And the answer is because for humanity to progress, you need both traditions in place. Okay? Without these traditions together, there is no path to enlightenment. There is no path to Apollo. This is the best path possible. Okay? Does that make sense? And again, this is my interpretation. Poetry can only be interpreted. Okay? And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of Dante scholars who are going to be very angry at me for making this interpretation. But I think this is a possible interpretation that aligns with other things that Dante will say throughout the Divine Comedy, okay? Are we clear? Yes?
So, in summary, the idea is like the sun shines on the world and it doesn't just shine on Christians, it shines on everyone.
That's what Dante believes, okay? But what he's going to do later on that is even more revolutionary is say, it's not God's choice whether or not to shine on you. It's your choice whether you want God to shine on you or not. Does that make sense? All right. But this comes later. All right. So, any more questions before we move on? Okay. Let's continue.
Its entry from that point of the horizon brought morning there and evening here.
Okay, so he's talking about the sun, right?
Almost all of that hemisphere was white, while ours was dark. When I saw Beatrice turn around and left, that she might see the sun, no eagle has ever stared so steadily at it. And as the second ray will issue from the first and reascend, much like a pilgrim who seeks his home again, so on her action, fed by my eyes to my imagination, my action drew, and on the sun I set my sight more than we usually do. More is permitted to our powers there than is permitted here, by virtue of that place made for mankind as its true home. I did not bear it long, but not so briefly as not to see it sparkling round about, like molten iron emerging from the fire. And suddenly it seemed that day had been added to day, as if the one who had graced the heavens with a second sun.
Okay.
The eyes of Beatrice were all intent on the eternal circles. From the sun I turned aside. I set my eyes on her. In watching her, within me I was changed, as Glaucus changed, tasting the herb that made him a companion of the other sea gods.
Okay, so something that's really confusing about the Divine Comedy is that different universes are existing in parallel with each other, right? So there is the universe of the Greeks, right, where Apollo is the sun. Now he's switching to the Christian universe where God is the sun. Okay? So all these universes are existing in parallel with each other. And the reason why is that we are in heaven. We are in paradise. And so this is the spirit world. Okay? So let me ask you this question. It's a hard question, but think about this. Pretend you're a ghost or a spirit, okay? Can you perceive time and space? Is it possible for you to perceive time and space? Yes?
No, because I mean you're immortal or like you live forever. Why would you be able to perceive time then? I mean, it wouldn't make sense, right? If like spirits never die off or they've always been there since the universe existed.
Well, I understand, but you can still keep time, right? Why can't you perceive time and space? The answer is no, you can't perceive time and space, but there's a really good reason why you cannot. Have you guys thought about this? Yes?
I would think it's because you can't interact with time and space. Your soul is immune to the influences of time and space. You don't have a body to be battered on the wall. And stuff.
Yeah, so the key is to understand that without a body, it's impossible for you to understand time and space, okay? And this is what Immanuel Kant tells us. What time and space is space is sensation. Sensation is made possible for the five senses, okay? Distance is because you have a body. If you didn't have a body, you wouldn't have a conception of distance, okay? And what time is sequence, which is cause and effect, caused by sensation, right? I first had this feeling, then I had that feeling. That's time. So without a body, it is impossible for you to experience time and space, okay? So we are in a universe where time and space don't exist. Everything exists at once and forever. Okay? Different universes exist at the same time. This is why all this is possible. And what Dante is doing is he's using words to decipher this universe, to make it comprehensible to us, because we are stuck in time and space, but they are beyond time and space. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. Yes?
And how are these like spirits invoked, or are they like everywhere, like at the same time, or like how are these spirits invoked in humans, or like because is it through emotions? What?
I don't understand the question. Could you repeat that?
Yeah, like these spirits, there's multiple, right? So, and in the Greek world, in the Greek world, you would say they did have a body because, you know, there's all these gods that came down to earth, so they had to like inhabit a body in the end.
But in the Greek world, what happened was these spirits took possession. Do you understand? They didn't come to us as material forms. They took possession of animals like Zeus, or they took possession of people, right?
But where then they were able to perceive time and space.
That's right, but only if they can take possession of someone's body.
Okay.
Okay, does that make sense? Right. So that's what Dante is doing. He's trying to have Apollo possess him, so he's able to use the powers of Apollo. Okay. All right. Let's keep on going.
Passing beyond the human cannot be worded. Let Glaucus serve as simile until grace grants you the experience. Whether I only was the part of me that you created last, you, governing the heavens, know, it was your light that raised me. When that wheel which you make eternal through the heavens longing for you drew me with the harmony you temper and distinguish. The fire of the sun then seemed to me to kindle so much of the sky that rain or river never formed so broad a lake. The newness of the sound and the great light incited me to learn their cause. I was more keen than I had ever been before, and she who read me as I read myself, to quiet the commotion in my mind, opened her lips before I opened mine.
Okay, all right, so do you guys understand the sequence of events, right? So he starts off invoking Apollo and says, I had this great dream or experience 20 years ago. Please, Apollo, give me the power to describe what I saw with words. Because what I saw was beyond time and space. It is beyond the imagination of ordinary mortals, okay? Like us, the readers today, okay? And now what he's doing is he's now describing as a pilgrim his experience 20 years ago with Beatrice, okay? Keep on going.
Opened her lips before I opened mine to ask, And she began, "You make yourself accused with false imagining. You cannot see what you would see if you dispelled it. You're not on the earth as you believe, but lightning, flying from its own abode, is less swift than you are, returning home."
Okay, so they are in the heavens, which is beyond time and space. But in order for Dante to understand what's going on, the universe has constructed the universe in a way for Dante to process. So it's linear. There is a bit of time and space, okay? And what Beatrice is saying to him basically is, here you have to completely rely on your intuition and your imagination, okay? Do not try to use logic. Do not try to take what you learn on earth and apply it here. It will just confuse you. Okay, so before you can meet God, we have to go on this journey to dispel your false imaginings, okay? To let go of your ego, to let go of your doubts, to let go of your fear, so that you can truly embrace God, yes?
I don't know if this is going to be talked about later, but is this kind of also an allegory for Christianity? Because some sort of Christian apologists have argued before that obviously faith is what you need for Christianity, and by using logic, that's where we can sort of fall into sin.
He will address this later on, okay? He will talk to Paul, who is the person who says this, right? For Paul, faith is to believe without evidence. Yes, he'll talk about this later on. Yes. Okay. All right. Any more questions before we go on? Are you guys following along? Because it gets harder and harder. Okay. Yes.
I have a quite innocent question. I just feel curious, like, why there's no need for logic in the heaven? Because it seems like in order maybe for communication in the world, I think it's necessary to have it anywhere, right? Because I mean, if people do not use logic for their like daily conversation, how could that be? I mean, in any place.
Can someone help him answer this question? Yeah.
So you're in heaven, you're in spirit, your body's not there. You don't need to move your teeth, move your meat trap to talk. You can just telepath it around.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it doesn't mean like you have to physically to make a sound or vibrant to like others to receive your message. But I mean, because like even if you're a spirit, you still have your conscious, right? So how could you guys like using to make your conscious have the agreements, even if you don't have to use the logic?
Yeah, that's exactly the point. You don't have to make people agree with you. You could just think about it, and everyone will understand what you mean.
Yes.
Oh yeah, because I think Bruce Lee used to say that don't think, feel. So maybe I think Bruce Lee just like kind of philosopher, right? Just just like maybe like Dante said, don't think, feel.
Okay.
I mean,
all right. So let me answer your question, okay? Because this is a question that most high school students are gonna have. If you're in high school, logic does matter because you have to take tests, okay? But that's the point of logic, to take tests and to pass tests and make the teacher give you a good grade, okay? Logic is a system we develop in order to control the way you behave and think in our world, okay? But our world is just a subset of the entire universe. And quite honestly, there are many issues with logic. Okay, so for example, mathematics and science really constrain your capacity to perceive the world. And this is something that will become much more clear as you continue to read the Divine Comedy. Okay, all right. But what Dante will say is that logic are like chains, okay, to keep you in a certain mindset. The imagination is like a bird that can float around everywhere. And so to truly understand God, to truly understand the Divine Comedy, your mind has become almost like a bird and just fly around and follow your intuition. Okay. All right. Let's keep on going.
While I was freed from my first doubt by these brief words, she smiled to me. I was yet caught in new perplexity. I said, I was content already. After such great wonder, I rested.
Wait, sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, all right. So, while I was freed from my first doubt by these brief words, she smiled to me. I was yet caught in new perplexity. Okay. So, what is his first doubt?
Am I really here?
Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah, he's not. Okay. Anyone else? What is his doubt? It's really, am I really here? He's not sure where he is, right? Okay. And what Petrus is telling him is that we are in a new universe that is beyond time and space, okay? So they're going to go visit the moon and Venus and the sun and Jupiter and Saturn. These are not our Jupiter, our Saturn, okay? Okay, these are metaphors. This is another universe. Okay? That's his first doubt, okay? But once you have this first doubt, what other questions might you have? Sumi?
Can I stay?
Can I stay? Sumi? Yeah, how does this realm work? Yeah?
How did I get up there?
Yeah, like like this first thing, like we're in a new universe, it raises all sorts of different questions, okay? And so this is what makes Dante's conception of the universe unique, because heaven, it is not perfection, it is not the end, it's just another journey. It's just another place for you to ask questions. Okay, does that make sense? All right. So, yeah. Okay. Can you keep on reading, Carol?
Sure. I said, I was content already after such great wonder. I rested. But again, I wonder how my body rises past these lighter bodies.
Okay, so he's trying to figure out how this universe works, right? Because they're flying throughout the cosmos. And he's like, why am I flying? Right? He's completely confused by what's going on. But again, what's important to understand is that there is no time and space in this universe. Time and space has been constructed for Dante's personal benefit so that he can understand what's going on. All right? Does that make sense? Okay, keep on going.
At which, after a sigh of pity, she settled her eyes on me with the same look a mother casts upon a raving child, and she began, all things among themselves possess an order, and this order is the form that makes the universe like God. Here do the higher beings see the imprint of the internal worth, which is the end to which the pattern I have mentioned tends. Within that order, every nature has its bent, according to a different station, nearer or less near to its origin. Therefore, these natures move to different ports across the mighty sea of being, each given the impulse that will bear it on. This impulse carries fire to the moon. This is the motive force in mortal creatures. This binds the earth together, makes it one. Not only does the shaft shot from this bow strike creatures lacking intellect, but those who have intelligence and who can love.
Okay, so what you're saying here is like God created the universe in a certain structure, okay? And God permeates the entire universe and touches all, okay? And there is a logic, a reason, a coherence to this universe. What Dante's going to do is try to figure out what this logic is. What is the organizing principle of the universe? Why has God constructed the world the way he has, okay? Keep on going. And even this is true even in heaven. Okay, so there's a hierarchy even in heaven. Keep on going.
The providence that has arrayed all this forever quiet, with its light, that heaven in which the swiftest of the spheres revolves, to there, as toward a destined place, we now are carried by the power of the bow that always aims its shaft at a glad mark. Yet it is true that, even as a shape may, often not accord with art's intent, since matter may be unresponsive, deaf, so from this course, the creature strays at times because he has the power, once impelled, to swerve elsewhere. As lightning from a cloud is seen to fall, so does the first impulse, when man has been diverted by false pleasure, turn him toward earth. You should, if I am right, not feel more marvel at your climbing than you would were you considering a stream that from a mountain's height falls to its base. It would be cause for wonder in you if, no longer hindered, you remained below, as if on earth a living flame stood still. Then she again turned her gaze heavenward.
Okay, so here she's trying to explain how the universe works, how it moves, okay? Can someone, in simple terms, explain to me what she's saying here? Can you decipher, interpret what she's saying here? Yes.
God assigned you a bunch of weights. If you're light, you go up. If you're heavy, you go down. If you're light and you're still down, then you should be worried.
Incorrect. Yeah, good guess though, but that's not what she's saying at all. What do you think the problem with this would be? Why would Dante take objection to this idea? You said that God assigns weights, right? Why would Dante be angry about this idea?
Technically, he's a human. However, right here, he is like on the doorstep of heaven. So how do you get there?
Okay, so let's first try to unpack this idea. God assigns weights, okay? And there are lots of Christians who do believe this, okay? This is something that John Calvin would argue, but Dante would find this really objectionable. He'd be very angry at this idea. Why? Exactly. It's unjust. Do you understand? Like, how can you justify giving someone a heavyweight and someone a lightweight? Why would God do that? What's the rationale for that?
And there's also a mention of natures and many forms of natures. So multiple standards, multiple perspectives.
Exactly, okay? So God shines everywhere, okay? And God would never be judgmental. That goes against the nature of God. Okay? So God is not judgmental. God is all forgiving, all generous. So that can't possibly be the answer, that God has assigned weights. So what's another explanation? Yes?
But if he didn't assign weights, and if he isn't judgmental, then how are some people in heaven and some people are in inferno?
Yeah, exactly. Right? That's what I'm asking you. Yes?
Or is it we give ourselves the weights?
Exactly. Can you explain that?
Because we have, obviously, through this conception, we have free will. So, yeah, if we obviously end up with the heavy weights, it's because we've done the greater sin.
What is God? Yes? Yes?
Well, also, or what similar to what he said, is just that we can't forgive ourselves, so we're not able to, or like, but we could forgive ourselves, but some people are sins so great that they don't have the power to forgive themselves, or they think they don't have the power.
Good. Okay. All right. So what is God doing? What does God want? What is God doing? Pictures tell us explicitly what God is doing. What is God doing? What is God's action? What is God trying to do? Yes?
So if the weights are the ones you put on yourselves, then God is trying to tell you to take them off yourself.
Okay. So what Bishop is saying is that God is trying to draw you to him. You understand? Right? He's like a tractor beam, right? He's locked you on. He's going to draw you to him. Okay? That's what God is trying to do. And like, what are you doing?
I imagine God is like he's like watching a movie, right? He's sitting back and watching everybody on their own free will, navigating and exploring their different perspectives, their different views of things, and as they kind of go towards him or away from him.
Is God watching you? Why would Dante say God is not watching you?
Well, I think God just keep watching all of us. Yes, I think this kind of confession, and if you think you're guilty, then you've thought God is there. For example, if you just steal something and you think it's okay, nobody watch it, but your guilty is still there. So if your guilty is still there, it means that God is there. So maybe it is what I thought. Yeah.
Yes.
Again, is it more our agency? Are we watching God rather than Him watching us?
Okay, can you explain that?
It's more like, obviously, when we decide within ourselves that we want salvation or we want to not sin and do the right thing, we will look to God. It's not that He's sort of watching over us.
Exactly.
It's
Okay.
up to us.
So the key is this: God is always welcoming you. Okay, God is always trying to draw you to Him, but because of the law of free will, of free choice, it's entirely your choice what to do. You could welcome God, embrace God, and then move towards the light, which is what Dante is doing. But you can also turn away from God and do whatever you want. Okay? And this is how the universe works. And this is the basic premise that you have to work with. Like, everything that you do is entirely because you choose to do it, even though you may not think it's your choice. Okay? This is the fundamental law of the universe. Everything is free choice. So God is not going to watch you. God's going to welcome you, but it's entirely your choice whether or not to move towards God for your actions. Okay? For your desire and will. Does that make sense? Okay? And this is the premise that Beatrice is going to elaborate on and expand on as they move across the heaven to let Dante understand everything you do is because you choose to do it. And why would God give you free choice? And why is God doing this? Why is free choice, free will, the ultimate law of the universe? Why has God constructed the universe in such a way? Yes?
Because that way you are willingly loving Him or like following his rules or stuff, so that you're not forced to enter heaven or forced to obey God's commands.
Okay, yes, that is true. But I'm saying, like, why does God give you free will?
The very physics imagination of it. If we imagine God as energy, and God energy tends to accumulate, tends to want more of it. So as you have free will, all these agents having free will gravitate towards that source of energy. That source of energy becomes larger. I don't know.
I think it makes sense, but I'm not. Yes.
Kind of because God doesn't have His own free will, so He uses it through us.
God doesn't have free will. That doesn't make any sense. He's God, right?
Like,
yes?
he can't sin.
Yes?
I think it's exactly because God is omnipotent. He can do everything He wants, but He chooses to give the freedom of choice to people to see.
But why?
Just to see what people react.
As an experiment?
Well,
He's experimenting on us. We're like mice in a lab, right? Yes? Yes?
I think He wants humans to reach Him, so He would need a way for people to not reach Him, to make a contrast for people making their journey like closer and closer to Him.
This sounds like a mice experiment, right? You have this like maze, and you want the mouse to come to you, right? Is that what God is doing? Yes?
Maybe because God made man in His own image and He wanted man to have agency just like Him.
But why does God want man to have agency? Yes?
Because there's no good if there's no evil. Like if they are willing to do good, that's actually good.
Okay, so again, God wants to create good, so he has to create evil as well. So it all sounds like an experiment, right? And you have to ask yourself, would God actually do any of this? Yes?
This is a bit of a radical opinion, but what if God just didn't create us?
Then he's not God.
No, like what if we're independent from him?
Okay. Okay, but again, yes.
He doesn't want blind obedience from humanity, because if we are all forced to believe him, then he wouldn't be God anymore.
Okay. Yes.
In the passage, Dante writes, everything has an order, right?
That's right.
So, you know, rocks fall downward, the fire burns upwards. So it seems like those things don't really have free will, but as humans, we can stray from the path and like whatever you write. So as humans, like we don't automatically have that order.
Okay, no, okay, so we know there's free will, okay? We know what makes us distinctly human is our free will. But I'm saying, why do we have this? Why did God give us this? Yes?
Because God is actually within us, so he wants to experience it.
God is within us, so he wants to experience free will. But God already has free will. God is God. God can do whatever he wants.
But in the material world.
In the material world. Huh. Does God care? Yeah, you keep on going.
Well, I would like to say, rather than making an experiment, I would like to say that God would like play a role like much more like a judger, because if people have the free will, they will do this stuff, follow their true heart by their true meaning. So that means there will be no camouflage that can make someone feel confused. Then the God can make the real judgment based on people's action and their true thoughts.
Okay, all right. So guys, again, this is a problem because you're overthinking this. It's not that hard. If you were a child, okay, how do you know your parents truly love you? What is that one signal that your parents truly love you unconditionally? What is it?
You can do whatever you want.
Exactly. Free will, you understand?
Well, how about just kind of like the judge in law is called
God is
motivation.
not a judge, okay?
It's kind of motivation, like maybe.
No. Okay, God is perfection. God is a creator, right? God, to show He loves everything in the universe, gives freedom to the universe, free will. Does that make sense? Okay, and again, just think about your parents. Just think about how, if you're a parent, how you treat your child. How do you know your parents truly love you? Because your parents support you unconditionally. You understand? That's what God is. God loves you unconditionally. God would never, ever ask you to do anything. God will not ask you to do good. God will not ask you to do evil. Okay? God will not ask you to aspire to Him. Free will is the ultimate law of the universe because that is how God expresses His love to you. God exists to love you. Does that make sense?
I don't know, but I'm also a father, and I think my son, I can't just give them unconditional love, because if I think it's conditional love, is you don't take responsible for him. For example, if he's not my son, he can do everything what he wants. I don't care. But if he's my son, I have to tell him that. Right? You're my son. You have to analyze listen to my
debate. Okay.
This is
okay. I don't want to have a parent debate. We're trying to read the Divine Comedy. We're trying to understand what Dante is saying here. Yes?
I kind of hold the same opinion where it's like, yeah, I agree with the idea that if someone loves you, they will support you unconditionally. And if you want to do something, they will support that. But I don't think it's the same thing as free will, because the free will is saying, if I don't want to go to sleep, my parents just won't let me just let me stay up all night. And if I don't want to eat my vegetables, my parents let me eat candy. Like that doesn't seem like them showing that they love me. So like I don't think that that free will necessarily is the same thing as, you know, being supportive no matter what.
Yeah, and there, but like you need to understand, there are rules to the universe, okay? For example, we don't have the power to like blow up the entire universe. Do you understand? There are limits to what we can do. God does set limits to us. Does that make sense? Okay. Yes.
Maybe I want to pose a question at the very least. It seems like Eve ate the apple from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And prior to that, Adam and Eve didn't have knowledge of this good and evil, which perhaps would negate a bit of this free will without understanding the dichotomy. And so perhaps you could say either humans took for themselves this free will, or that they were deceived and they were forced upon them by the serpent or the devil or whoever you want to say, and were forced this free will. Does that seem to fit at all here?
Okay. So, yes?
But the fact that the tree existed in the garden in the first place already shows that God has given free will from the beginning. So he has like, you know, a recommendation. I recommend you not to eat this fruit, but if you want, it's there, you know, like, so from the very beginning, there is free will. It's not like humans seek free will, got the fruit, and then got free will, but it's like, it's there.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll get to the garden, okay? But there are like so many ways you can understand what happened, okay? But like what Dante will say is that exactly that, which is if God didn't want us to didn't want us the opportunity to exercise our free will, he would not have put the tree there in the first place, and he would not have said, hey, that tree, don't touch it, okay? I mean, yeah. Did you have a comment? Yes.
Oh well, this is a bit of a meta narrative, but what if God is perfection, God is everything good, God loves us, so no matter what God does to us, that's a form of his love. If he gives us free will, that's his love. If he doesn't, that's his love. If he did, then we can only assume that he loves us.
Okay. All right. So let me clarify something, okay? This Dante is beyond time and space. Do you understand? So we cannot use our logic, we cannot use our language to explain what's going on. But Dante is trying to use our logic, our language to explain to us what's going on. Okay? So this is not a literal explanation. Oh, God is this force that loves us. It's a metaphorical explanation that helps us understand our place in the universe. Does that make sense? If you want to really go into literal, then go study quantum mechanics, right? How the universe is entirely energy, vibrations, quantum fields. But the question then for Dante is like, what does this mean, right? If the universe is entirely energy, how does this energy flow work? And what does this mean for us? And what Dante's trying to do is he's trying to explain to us what our place is metaphorically, poetically. Does that make sense? And the best way to understand God is that God is this force that loves us unconditionally and calls us back to him, which is what will enable us to be happy. But it's entirely our choice whether or not to go to him. And he's trying to explain to us why we make certain choices that we do. Okay, do you understand? So this is poetry. This is a metaphor. This is not quantum mechanics. Does it make sense, guys? All right. Any more questions before we move on? Okay, so I'm trying to establish the major themes that we'll be exploring throughout the Divine Comedy, okay? All right, are we all clear? All right, let's move on to Canto 2, please. Yeah.
O you who are within your little bark, eager to listen, following behind my ship that singing crosses to deep seas, turn back to see your shores again. Do not attempt to sail the seas I sail. You may, by losing sight of me, be left astray.
Okay, so now he's talking directly to us, the reader, right? He's the poet. He's talking to us, the reader. Keep on going.
The waves I take were never sailed before. Minerva breathes, Apollo pilots me, and the 9 muses show to me the bear.
Okay, so again, he's invoking all possible inspirations to help him through this process, okay? And no one's ever been on this journey before, and quite honestly, no one else will ever go on this journey again. Okay, keep on going.
You other few who turned your minds in time unto the bread of angels, which provides men here with life, but hungering for more, you may indeed commit your vessel to the deep salt sea, keeping your course within my wake, ahead of where waves smooth again. Those men of glory, those who crossed to Colchis, where they saw Jason turn into a plowman, were less amazed than you will be amazed.
So again, he's referencing Greek mythology, Jason and the Argonauts, okay? Keep on going.
The thirst that is innate and everlasting, thirst for the godly realm, bore us away as swiftly as the heavens that you see.
Okay, so what he's saying is that our fundamental hunger, our fundamental need, our thirst is to return to God. Okay, and he feels God is close to him, so he is moving really quickly towards him.
Beatrice gazed upward. I watched her, but in a span perhaps no longer than an arrow takes to strike, to fly, to leave the bow, I reached a place where I could see that something wonderful drew me, and she from whom my need could not be hidden turned to me. Her gladness matched her loveliness. Direct your mind to God in gratefulness, she said. He has brought us to the first star.
Okay, so again, heaven is divided into a hierarchy, okay? Different planes. The first plane is the moon, okay? So they are on the moon right now.
It seemed to me that we were covered by a brilliant, solid, dense, and stainless cloud, much like a diamond that the sun has struck. Into itself, the everlasting pearl received us, just as water will accept a ray of light and yet remain intact. If I was body, and on earth we cannot see how things material can share one space, the case when body enters body, then should our longing be still more inflamed to see that essence in which we discern how God and human nature were made one. What we hold here by faith shall there be seen, not demonstrated but directly known, even as the first truth that man believes. I answered, with the most devotion I can summon, I thank him who has brought me far from the mortal world. But now tell me, what are the dark marks on this planet's body that there below on earth have made men tell the tale of Cain?
Okay, so they're on the moon, okay? And Dante has a question, which is, why are there dark spots on the moon? Actually, Carol, could you can we just like Google the moon?
Sure.
Yeah. So you guys have looked up the moon, right? They're like dark spots on the moon, and like you're like, what are they doing there, right? Like you guys see the moon, right? Explain. Does anyone know why there are dark spots on the moon?
Because there's craters from meteoroids.
Yeah, that's the standard explanation. Okay. The standard explanation is that there's some craters, and these craters have certain material that is not reflective. They absorb the light. Okay? All right? But Don's asking this question. Like, my first question is, why are there dark spots on the moon? Okay, he said he's in heaven, and he's asking, like, why are there dark spots on the moon? Okay, so for him, it's a scientific journey, right? Okay, keep on going, Carol.
She smiled somewhat, and then she said, if the opinion mortals hold falls into error when the senses key cannot unlock the truth, you should not be struck by the arrows of amazement once you recognize that reason even when supported by the senses, has short wings.
Okay, so here she's saying, okay, reason, logic don't work in the universe. Okay, there are severe limitations to science, to logic, to reason. All right, and so now we're forced to use our intuition and our imagination. Okay, if you truly believe in science, it's going to only carry you so far. Okay, keep on going.
I think imagination and intuition and reason is on the level of transcendental cognitive depth. Likewise, imagination or intuition is higher than reason.
Okay, that's a good question. Okay, all right. So let's figure this out. Reason and imagination are not the same thing. Okay, logic, intuition are not the same thing. Before I answer, does anyone want to try? What's the difference? Have you guys thought about this? What's the difference between reason and imagination?
I don't know. I'm gonna try, but I might be very wrong. But I think that like logic is more like about ration, while imagination can be like very rational. Like yeah, like it could, for example, different people have like different.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say logic is the people in the past, like what their experience and summarize and put into a theory, or you can say logic is what people think when they're in a normal state of mind, and when they go crazy or when they just something happened to their brain and they're thinking something else, they can be more imaginative this way, probably.
Yes.
I think to an extent, logic and reason, they try to explain the material world, but when we go into the realm of intuition and imagination, we can go beyond the constraints of the material world and just like do whatever we want, and kind of like it's like the human nature. We want to experience things that are greater than this world that we live in. So that's why sometimes we are drawn to poetry and writing and things like that.
Okay. All right.
Intuitively, I think the difference between intuition and logic is that logic is, it's like human beings have a multiplex of ways of thinking or, experiencing the universe. But logic is the conscious human effort involving language and other centralized method to experience the universe, whereas intuition is invoking the whole physical or mental capacity without even being conscious.
Okay, all right. So this is hard, okay? But I need you guys to understand the difference between reason and imagination, okay? The essential difference is this. When you reason, what you're really doing is dividing things into categories. Does that make sense? In order for you to reason, you have to categorize something. For example, you're a girl, you're a boy, girl, boy, okay? And then from that, once I have these categories, I can start to reason things out, okay? But the categorization is problematic because, like, by categorizing, what I'm doing is I am reducing, I'm subtracting, I'm simplifying, okay? Imagination is different because the imagination is about synthesis. It's about adding, okay? So you don't have this categorization process. You can take leaps, okay? You can build things on top of each other. So that's what Beecher is saying here. If you try to categorize things, you're going to run into problems because categorization by itself is problematic. Does it make sense? Okay? If you're trying to reason out why the moon has dark spots, right? You're like, the moon is a planet. The planet, well, I mean, do you understand what's going on, okay? You're trying to break things into categories. And as a result, it's going to confuse you. All right, yes?
Is it also like, if you use logic, you can come up with many answers to one question, but if you have intuition or imagination, there is just one truth, like your gut feeling.
Yeah, that's what Donnie's going to say. Like, intuition is probably your best guide. Okay? Any more? Yes?
Yeah, maybe I think just like, in ancient China, people just don't believe in logic. They just believe in, for example, like 恩情, or we can call it love or something. So you have to show love to your mother. You have to show love to your master. You can't keep asking the question why I show love. What you can give me in return? But reason is different. You have to get something in return. Like, why I love you? Because I need you, right? Why I need you? Because you can give me something that I need, right? So I think maybe that is the difference. Yeah.
Okay. So categorization is important because categorization allows you to better manipulate the material world. Okay, does that make sense, guys? When you're able to categorize things, you're also able to break things down to its basic elements and then manipulate them to create technology. Okay, does that make sense? But there's a limitation to this, and the imagination is what carries you through to the deep secrets of the universe. Okay, and that's what Beatrice is saying here. Okay, you are looking at the moon from a logical, rational, scientific perspective, and that will not let you see the truth. Okay, the heart, the imagination will let you see the truth. Okay, can you continue, please?
Sure. But tell me what you think of it yourself. And I, what seems to us diverse up here is caused, I think, by matter dense and rare.
Okay, right. What's his explanation for this? It's a very simple explanation. Why are there dark spots on the moon? Matters dense and rare. What does he mean by this? Can you explain, please? Like if you're just trying to figure this out logically, what's the most logical explanation for why there are dark spots on the moon?
There are different materials, or craters, or asteroids.
No, that's not the most logical explanation. What's the most logical explanation?
Dirt has different colors.
No. Guys, why are there dark spots on the moon? Why is it that some parts reflect and some parts don't reflect? Why? Yeah?
It would be because like it creates depth, and so the more far away, the darker. Like same as a cave would be.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So what we assume is that there are certain parts of the moon that are hollow. Does that make sense? Like just from logical perspective, like, well, the parts of the moon that are hollow, and then so the light just passes through, right? And there's some parts of the moon that is pretty dense, and so the light reflects back. I'm just saying from a logical perspective, when you use categorization, right? And analysis, you get to this conclusion, okay? If something is hollow, it does not reflect light. If something is not hollow, light bounces back, okay? We're just using logic here. And that's what Dante is saying. It doesn't make sense. Okay, keep on going.
And she, you certainly will see that your belief is deeply sunk in error if you listen carefully as I rebut it.
What is really interesting about the Divine Comedy is they're in heaven and they're having a scientific debate, okay? They're having an argument about the nature of science. Keep on going.
The eighth sphere offers many lights to you, and you can tell that they, in quality and size, are stars with different visages. If rarity and density alone cause this, then all the stars would share one power distributed in lesser, greater, or an equal force. But different powers must be fruits of different formal principles. Were you correct, one only would be left, the rest destroyed, and more.
Okay, stop. Okay, all right. So what she's saying here is, okay, we are looking at the heavens, and the different stars have different lighting, okay? And she's saying, like, if we can just reduce everything to logic, then this logic controls the universe. And therefore, the entire stars are lit by this logic, okay? But she's going to tell us that can't be true. Okay, there's another force that's at work. Keep on going.
And more, where rarity the cause of the dim spots you question, Then, in part, this planet would lack matter through and through, or else, as in a body, lean and fat can alternate, so would this planet alternate the pages in its volume.
Okay, so what she's saying is this, okay? If it is true that density is what determines light, then what you're saying is there are parts of the moon that are hollow, or they have a deep cavity. Okay, does that make sense, guys? Okay, either possibility. Either there are parts of the moon that are hollow, or there's a deep cavity inside the moon, so the light just goes into it. Okay, only one of these two possibilities. And now what she's going to do is she's going to refute both of these arguments. Keep on going.
And more, was I here? And more where rarity the cause of the dim spot.
Sorry.
Question. Different powers, 34. Anyway, I'll just repeat it. And more where rarity the cause of the dim spots in question, then in part this planet would lack matter through and through. Or else, as in a body, lean and fat can alternate, so would this planet alternate the pages in its volume. To validate the first case, in the sun's eclipse, the light would have to show through, just as when it crosses matter that is slender. This is not so, therefore we must consider the latter case. If I annul that too, then your opinion surely is confuted.
Okay, so she's saying it is not possible for the moon to be hollow at any point. Why? It is not possible for the moon to be hollow at any point. Why? Because, yes? So anyone?
Eclipse. There's an eclipse. If
The
it's hollow.
eclipse, right? You guys understand the eclipse, right? So it's not possible for the moon to be hollow at any point. Otherwise, you wouldn't have a eclipse. Okay. Keep on going.
If rarity does not run through and through the moon, then there must be a limit where thickness does not allow the light to pass. From there, the rays of sun would be thrown back, just as from glass that hides lead at its back, a ray of colored light returns, reflected. Now you will say that where a ray has been reflected from a section farther back, that ray will show itself to be more dim.
Okay, so wait, that's the logical argument, right? Well, maybe the moon is not completely hollow, but there are parts that are so deep the light just is trapped. Okay. Keep on going.
Yet an experiment were you to try it could free you from your cavil, and the source of your art's core springs from experiment.
Okay. What's she saying here? She's saying, like, if you don't believe me, and I'm Beatrice, I am a representative of God. If you don't believe me, what should you do? Do it for yourself, man. You understand? You don't have to believe me. I am not forcing you to believe anything. You have the power to know the truth for yourself. Okay? Do an experiment. Keep on going.
Taking 3 mirrors, place a pair of them at equal distance from you. Set the third midway between those two, but farther back. Then, turning toward them at your back, have placed a light that kindles those 3 mirrors and returns to you reflected by them all. Although the image in the farthest glass will be of lesser size, there you will see that it must match the brightness of the rest.
Okay, so do you guys understand the experiment? Okay? What I'm doing is I am putting mirrors in front of me, okay, maybe 10 feet away from front of me, and I'm putting like a mirror 10,000 kilometers away. And I'm shining a light at both, okay? Would the brightness differ between these 2 mirrors? Yes or no? No, it's the same brightness, okay? That 10,000 kilometer mirror might be like, you can't actually see it, but if you actually go there, it would just be as bright, okay? And this experiment you can actually do at home. You don't have to believe me. You can just go home and try this experiment. No matter how far it is from you, it will still be as bright. Okay? Does that make sense? All right? So it's not possible for the cavity theory to be true as well. So through logic, for reason, she's able to refute your logic and reason as well. Okay? So this is a science debate. Keep on going.
Now, just as the submatter of the snow, beneath the blows of the warm rays, is stripped of both its former color and its cold, so is your mind left bare of error. I would offer now to you a new form, light so living that it trembles in your sight.
Why is Beatrice wasting everyone's time? Why is she doing this? Why does tell Dante, you're a moron, and here's the truth? Why is she engaging in this dialogue, this Socratic dialogue? What's the point of this? Yes?
So, I'm thinking that Dante hasn't fully convinced himself that he is in heaven yet. So his imagination is not solidified there. So if he unconvinces himself that he's in heaven, then he will just fall away and he will wake up and he will be back on earth. So Beatrice is trying to prevent that by convincing him and by solidifying his imagination in heaven.
Do you think this conversation actually took place? Okay, so why is this conversation happening?
I think this is Dante, the poet, actually structuring it in such a way to demonstrate the difference between what we mentioned earlier, knowledge and imagination. And
Okay.
logic and
Yes?
I think it's just for the reader so the reader can like reason it out through like Dante's experience in heaven. So like as a reader, we use logic to understand Dante, maybe.
Okay, but I'm saying, like, why go through this very long process? Why don't you just tell us what's going on? Yes?
I think it's just kind of the we can call it emotional things, or the point. They don't just always think logically. They sometimes think just initiatively. It means we can call original thinking. Just like Elon Musk said, original thinking is not the one but the zero. So
let me ask you this question. Okay, it's a really weird question. Okay, and we'll end the first session with this question. Okay, the question is this: Dante wrote this in 1321. Could he possibly imagine that in the year 2026 that we would be in Beijing on this day? It's a multicultural, multilingual group, and that we would be discussing his Divine Comedy, trying to figure out his intention. Could he imagine this in the year 1321? What do you think? It's pretty amazing, right? Like he wrote this in Italy in the year 1321. He didn't even know where China was. That then never experienced the world. Could he have imagined that in the year 2026 that we would be together trying to figure out his intention? Could he have imagined that? Who says yes? Someone say yes, just for fun. Why?
I think yes, because just like Shakespeare, he just said, maybe the things that we can be forgotten, but words will be remembered forever. So every writer want their own work can become masterpiece, including Dante, I suppose. Yeah.
Yes.
If what he writes is close to the truth and close to what is true, it will withstand the test of time, right? And so it's withstand a reader 50 years from now, 1,000 years from now, 2,000 years from now.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Right. Anyone else? Like, could he have known that one day we'd be reading this and discussing this in Beijing in 2026?
Maybe when he was on this journey, he might have like seen this. So like that's why he, after 20 years, he was like very adamant that I'm going to be documenting this conversation and leaving this work in, for example, in vernacular, so that more people are.
Do you think he actually had this conversation in heaven? Do you think any of this is actually true? Yes?
I think to analyze this, you need to strip the situation of its trappings. So you said we're here in Beijing and we're here, this group of people specifically talking about it. Of course, he could not have seen these trappings. These are material trappings. But if we delve down into the archetype of what we're doing, which is discussing his work, which is deriving knowledge, deriving nourishment from it, then archetype is a constant across all ages, and he could absolutely have foreseen that this was going to happen.
Okay, that's right. So 500 years from now, is it possible that another group of people will be watching this video and analyzing what we're discussing? Is that possible? What would make it possible? Why would they be doing this?
Well, they'll be reading Dante. I'm not sure if they'll be watching the video.
But how can you be sure they'll be reading Dante? Yes? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, maybe because like Dante knew that his book would change the course of history, or we would think in this room that this...
Did Dante know that?
Well, not for certain.
Actually, he did know that.
Really?
Yes, he did. Okay? He did know that when he wrote this. What happened to him after he finished the Divine Comedy? Do you guys know? He died. Right after he finished the Divine Comedy, he died. Yeah. He died. Yes?
Well, I think these topics are eternal, and that's what make us human. So even after maybe 5,000 years, somebody will still learn from these topics and try to learn from people that's talk these topics before.
Okay. Yes?
You may need to turn on.
And upon that, and just say that people are going to forever have curiosity and seek questions about God, and they will never be answered until we die and find out.
Yeah, okay. So I would just say that if you just look into your heart, you know what is eternal, what is true. Okay? If you know it that is eternal and what is true, then you know that this will both extend into the future as well as extend back into the past. Okay? And this is something that you can't actually logically explain, something that is just done through faith and intuition. Okay? All right. So we'll end the morning session on this note, and then we'll come back at 1 o'clock. All right? Okay. All right.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Carol.
喂喂喂喂喂喂，测试测试测试测试测试，喂喂喂喂喂喂，测试测试。喂喂，测试测试，123123。喂喂。
Yeah, let's wait. I'm pretty busy this week. Yeah, let's wait. Yeah, we'll Sure. Okay, welcome back to the live stream. For those of you watching online, please note that every day we start class promptly at 10 o'clock. Then we'll break at 12 for lunch. And then we'll come back at 1 o'clock. And we continue until 3 o'clock. Okay, so the live stream is from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. But please note there's an hour break in between, just so that we can rest and get some food to eat. Okay, so again, for the first day, we're establishing themes and ideas that structure the divine harmony. And then after we do that, then I want to expand and give you questions and exercises that help you promote your intuition, your imagination, because that's what's gonna allow you to fully understand the divine harmony. Something that's really important for you guys to keep in mind is that right now, I'm offering you my interpretation, okay? Another caveat that's very important is that we are reading this in English. This is one of dozens of translations. So there's gonna be problems in interpretation because we don't speak Italian. So if you really want to understand divine harmony, if you really want to experience Dante for yourself, you have to read aloud divine harmony in Italian as it was designed, okay? And like the thing that is, the thing I believe of divine harmony is that it's an act of divine inspiration, meaning that Dante wrote this by channeling God and the universe. And only by reading aloud the Italian, the Tuscan, can you experience this for yourself, okay? Because when you do so, you will be channeling Dante himself. So I hope that this class will only be the beginning of a lifelong journey, okay? I think it'll be a lifelong journey into truly experiencing Dante. Another thing that I do in this class, which may be a bit weird, is I treat the divine harmony as perfection, meaning that every word, every idea is perfect. And if we don't understand it, it's because of the limitations of our own intuition and imagination. Does that make sense? Okay, so if we're a bit confused, it's not his fault, it's our fault. I work under this assumption. All right, okay, so let's continue from, Can you continue to read, Carol? And thanks so much for reading, by the way.
Thank you. Now, just as the submatter of the snow, beneath the blows of the warm rays, is stripped of both its former color and its cold, so is your mind left bare of error. I would offer now to you a new form, light so living that it trembles in your sight.
Okay, so the idea here is, if you truly want to understand something, you need to engage in debate, right? Because this is the year 1321, and the idea is just obey the Catholic Church, just obey your priest, and you'll understand. And when Dante is saying, no, you have to engage in open debate, Socratic debate, if you truly want to understand. So as a teacher, you have to allow your students to make errors, okay? All right, keep on going.
Within the heaven of the godly peace revolves a body in whose power lies the being of all things that it enfolds.
Okay, all right, so this is really interesting, and I want to think about this. So the metaphor that's being used is body, right? The universe is a body, okay? So as an exercise, I want to think about what other metaphors we could use to describe the universe, right? The metaphor that's being used here is body. But I want to explore other possibilities. What are some other possibilities for how to describe the universe? Anyone? Yes?
A big ball.
A big ball. Okay, a big ball. All right, that's interesting. What else? Yes?
God.
God itself. Okay, that's a possibility. What else?
In Chinese myth theology, they describe it as a turtle that's standing on top of an elephant that's standing on top of something else.
I don't know how to describe that. Okay, turtle on top of an elephant. So is it fair to say that there are multiple dimensions and they're all interlocking? Okay, so maybe interlocking dimensions. Okay, this is new to me. You guys are far more creative than I am. Yes, what else?
Press on the mic.
Energy and vibration.
Okay, energy, sure. What else? Yes?
The soul.
Hmm?
The soul.
The soul.
The soul.
Okay, the soul. Okay, what else?
How about cave?
A cave. Okay, that's
cave.
interesting. Okay. Again, you guys are far more creative than I am. I would never come up with these on my own. Anyone else? Okay, how about garden? Okay. How about a factory?
There's a TV show that describes the universe as a Jeremy Bearimy. So there's an I, and then so like the word Jeremy Bearimy, because the word Jeremy and the J and the Y connect. So the idea is that the universe is a loop that goes in a Jeremy Bearimy, but then there's an I, and if you accidentally end up on that I, you're stuck forever.
This is way too complicated for me. Okay, all right. Okay, this is like beyond my intention. Okay, all right. The point I'm trying to make is that depending on the metaphor, you will perceive the universe in a different way. Okay, so if you just say the universe is energy, it's basically complete chaos, right? Chaos and randomness. To say the soul, it's like a fractal, right? Basically, your soul is a universe, and then it mirrors the entire universe, okay? A cave is basically just a simulation. Is that fair to say? A cave would be a simulation. It's not real, okay? God would be the mind of God, okay? We're living in a dream, basically. And a ball, I would not know how to describe a ball, but a ball I think would be, why would you say it's a ball?
I should clarify. I mean like a crystal ball, like a little simulacrum, and inside is everything, and you can shake it up and it'll change a little.
So it's still a simulation.
No, not a simulation. It's a ball which contains everything, which is more like a crooked ball, a reactor.
Yeah, I'm so confused.
A reactor.
Okay. Okay. So a garden is something like God as the gardener, right? Does that make sense? We're all just a flower in the garden. God's always taking care of us, right? Nurturing us, cultivating us. A factory is like a machine where there are certain laws to the universe, and we're governed by these laws, okay? So the idea of body is interesting because it is distinct from all other of these metaphors. What does a body signify? Right? You have a body, you have a brain, you have arms. Why would that be a good metaphor for the universe? Yes?
Like it would mean that we are like really part of the universe, and that we can also reflect like upon ourselves compared to the universe, like what it is.
Yes, thank you.
We
Yes.
directly interact with it.
Yes, thank you. Yes?
Just that the body is a metaphor for the universe, as a human, the body is all that there is.
Yes.
Everything is contained within.
Okay, yes?
In a body, there are organs, and they all have a purpose, and they all work together, so everything is connected. So there's two things. One is everything is connected. Two is everything has a role.
Good, yes.
a body can like receive ideas and then enact them.
The brain, right?
Yeah, basically.
And so what's a brain?
Ideas or the mind.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes. Maybe at the back.
Maybe the body of Christ or something. Each has a role, or like the head will be leadership, and then the other parts, hands and feet, are like the actions.
Yes.
A body can die.
Yeah, a body can die. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yes.
Maybe the cells, because body has cells, right?
Yeah. So
more.
interconnectedness.
Star.
Yes. Okay.
Stars is like
Right,
cells.
yeah?
I guess it's interesting that if humans are the image of God, and then he's taking this metaphor as the universe, and he's creating a metaphor as the image of humans as well.
Right. Yes. Right. So the universe is a human as well. Yes. Anyone else? Okay. So some key ideas that we want to remember that we can construe from the using body as a metaphor for the universe is, first of all, interconnectedness, right? Everything is interconnected together. The role, meaning every part of the body is important, right? If you lose a finger, if you lose a cell, it's going to cause problems for you. The last is, and this is really important, is the idea of intentionality. Intentionality. A body cannot be random, right? Energy can be random, but a body, there has to be some intentionality, a design to it. The body has a purpose. It has direction, right? It's not just random chaos. So that's the idea inherent in the body metaphor. Okay? All right, let's continue.
Sphere that follows?
Yeah.
The sphere that follows, where so much is shown, to varied essences bestows that being, to stars distinct and yet contained in it. The other spheres, in ways diverse, direct the diverse powers they possess, so that these forces can bear fruit, attain their aims. So these organs of the universe proceed, as you now see, from stage to stage, receiving from above and acting downward.
Okay, so all these different spheres that we see in the heavens, they're like organs in a body, right? And what's really important to understand is that each organ has its own distinct role and purpose. If you lose an organ, that's a problem, okay? So there's an intentionality, and each sphere has a certain purpose, and it's all to a design, okay? Keep on going. And by the way, we'll be visiting these spheres one by one, okay? Keep on going.
So do these organs of the universe proceed, as you now see, from stage to stage, receiving from above and acting downward. Now do attend to how I pass by, way of reason, to the truth you want, that then you may learn how to cross the ford alone.
To cross the ford alone means to learn so that you can be fully independent, right? You are in this class in order to be able to read Divine Comedy by yourself one day. All right, keep on going.
The force and motion of the holy spheres must be inspired by the blessed movers, just as the smith imparts the hammer's art. And so, from the deep mind that makes it wheel, the sphere that many lights adorn receives that stamp of which it then becomes the seal.
So God is the brain, and all the spheres are different organs. Okay, keep on going.
And as the soul within your dust is shared by different organs, each most suited to a different potency, so does that mind unfold and multiply its bounty through the varied heavens, though that intellect itself revolves upon its unity.
Okay.
With the dear body that it quickens and with which, as life in you, it too is bound, each different powers forms a different compound. Because of the glad nature of its source, the power mingled with the sphere shines forth, as gladness through the living pupil shines. From this, and not from matter rare or dense, derive the differences from light to light. This is the forming principle, producing, conforming with its worth, the dark, the bright.
Okay, all right. So do you guys understand the point here? I know that in school you study evolution, you study physics, and you believe that the universe is emergent, meaning there are some basic principles, and then from this will emerge other things, okay? And what Dante is saying is that's just a wrong way to understand the universe. There is intentionality, there is interconnectedness, and the reason why the moon shines differently from other spheres is that God manifests differently in different places, okay? And it's all to a certain design and intention. And Beatrice says you must understand this idea if we are to move on, okay? So before we move on, are there any questions? Yes?
How could why could our understanding of the world as having evolved from basic principles not co
Is there any answer to this? Does anyone want to respond to this idea? Why is this you're asking like why is this in contradiction, right? Okay, well, I mean like there's a debate between evolution and intelligent design, right? Where the people who believe in evolution said it is not because of God, it's not because of intention, it's because of survival of the fittest, because of Darwinism, right? And so what is the question?
Can you try to use the handheld, maybe? You have to turn it on.
Yeah, so like why could God not have designed Darwinism? God designed Darwinism and allowed Darwinism to take its course because that's what God wants.
Okay, so this is a different conception of God, okay? So you can say like God is an architect who designed the rules of the universe and no longer cares. Does that make sense? Because he's already designed the game and we just play the game and he doesn't really care what happens. What Dante is saying is like, no, God is still with us. And God shows his approval by shining his light in us. Does that make sense? All right. Okay. Do you understand this idea?
It's the difference between a game developer and a game master who plays his own game.
It's a rough metaphor, yes, but yeah, the idea is that in evolution, what they're saying is that the universe is independent of God. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. God doesn't interfere in the universe. What Beatrice is saying to Dante is like, no, God is always present. We know because the spheres shine differently. Okay? All right. Any more questions before we move on? It's really important you guys make sure you understand. Otherwise, you usually get more and more confused as we go along. Yes?
So you mean the God is just like the sun, or we're just like a mirror, so the God just shine upon all of us and we can reflect to God back?
Right, so the metaphor that Beatrice uses is the body, right? So God is the brain. Okay, so we're always interfacing with God. All right. Okay, all right, let's continue to Canto 3, please.
That sun, which first had warmed my breast with love, had now revealed to me, proving the gentle face of truth, its loveliness. And I...
Sorry, what is the sun? Apollo, but what else? God, and what else?
Inspiration.
Okay, God, Apollo, and what else? Who's he talking to? Beatrice, right? So how can we reconcile this? This is a paradox. Who's he talking to? God or Apollo or Beatrice? This is a paradox. So how can we reconcile this? Yeah?
So I'm gonna borrow from William. I'm gonna borrow from William Blake here. So William Blake has his gods, and he also has the gods' emanations. You can consider emanations as representatives of the god. So Beatrice here is on behalf of Apollo, on behalf of God, in a more concrete form, in order to show Dante.
Exactly. Okay. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. Well, ultimately, the secret is that God is love. Okay. And love can take different manifestations. We can use different ways to describe this love. It can manifest itself as Apollo. It can manifest itself as Beatrice. But it's really the same force. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's keep on going.
And I, in order to declare myself corrected and convinced, lifted my head as high as my confessional required. But a new vision showed itself to me. The grip in which it held me was so fast that I did not remember to confess. Just as returning through transparent, clean glass, or through waters calm and crystalline, so shallow that they scarcely can reflect, the mirrored image of our faces meets our pupils with no greater force than that a pearl has when displayed on a white forehead. So faint, the many faces I saw keen to speak, thus my mistake was contrary to that which led the man to love the fountain. As soon as I had noticed them, thinking that what I saw were merely mirrorings, I turned around to see who they might be, and I saw nothing. And I let my sight turn back to meet the light of my dear guide, who, as she smiled, glowed in her holy eyes. There's no need to wonder if I smile, she said, because you reason like a child. Your steps do not yet rest upon the truth. Your mind misguides you into emptiness. What you are seeing are true substances, placed here because their vows were not fulfilled.
Okay, so Dante is in the spears, and he sees people, and he's completely confused by this, because why is this happening, right? Why is everyone not with God? Why are people separated from God, okay? And Beatrice is saying, it's trying to explain to him. Keep on going.
Thus, speak and listen. Trust what they will say. The truthful light in which they find their peace will not allow their steps to turn astray. Then I turned to the shade that seemed most anxious to speak, and I began as would a man bewildered by desire too intense. O spirit born to goodness, you who feel beneath the rays of the eternal life, that sweetness which cannot be known unless it is experienced, it would be gracious of you to let me know your name and fate. At this, unhesitant, with smiling eyes, our charity will never lock its gates against just will. Our love is like the love that would have all its court be like itself. Within the world, I was a nun, a virgin, and if your mind attends and recollects, my greater beauty here will not conceal me, and you will recognize me as Picarda, who, placed here with the other blessed ones, am blessed within the slowest of the spheres. Our sentiments, which only serve the flame that is the pleasure of the Holy Ghost, delight in their conforming to his order. And we are to be found within a sphere this low because we have neglected vows, so that in some respect we were deficient.
Okay, so this is really interesting, okay? So there's a hierarchy to the heavens. And at the very bottom are those who are inconstant, meaning those who have failed to fulfill their vows. Okay? So keep on going.
And I to her, within your wonderful semblance, there's something divine that glows, transforming the appearance you once showed. Therefore, my recognizing you as Flo, but what you now have told me is of help. I can identify you much more clearly.
Okay, so Picarda is actually someone that Dante, the historical figure, knew in real life, okay? So throughout the Divine Comedy, there are mythical figures, but there are also people who were part of Dante's life. Now, some background about Dante is that he was essentially an aristocrat in Florence who participated in politics. There was many struggles for power in Florence, and this was true throughout Italy. Okay, and this power struggle is something that we will discuss as we move along. Okay, but just remember, there's a power struggle. Picard is someone that Dante knew in real life. Keep on going.
But tell me, though you're happy here, do you desire a higher place in order to see more and to be still more close to him? Together with her fellow shades, she smiled at first. Then she replied to me with such gladness, like one who burns with love's first flame. Brother, the power of love appeases our will so. We only long for what we have. We do not thirst for greater blessedness. Should we desire a higher sphere than ours, then our desires would be discordant with the will of him who has assigned us here. But you'll see no such discord in these spheres. To live in love is here necessity, if you think on love's nature carefully. The essence of this blessed life consists in keeping to the boundaries of God's will, through which our wills become one single will. So that as we are ranged from step to step throughout this kingdom, all this kingdom wills that which will please the king whose will is rule. And in his will there is our peace, that sea to which all beings move. The beings he creates or nature makes, such is his will.
Okay, so Dante asks her a question. The question is, clearly there's this hierarchy in heaven, and you are in the outer sphere, right? The core is God. So do you desire as a person to move closer to God? Basically graduate, right? To move from the outer sphere to the inner sphere. What is her response? No. Why not?
It said we are content here.
Yeah, but why? Yes?
She is content because she has to be absolutely obedient to God, and God says that she has to be content here, so she has to be content. If she is not content, then she would not even be worthy of this first sphere.
Okay, yeah, does that make sense, guys? Okay, that's exactly what she says. But what's a paradox here? What's a paradox here? Yeah?
Her free will couldn't get her higher.
Right, but she doesn't want to go higher. That's the thing, though. Right?
Yeah, so man, God's making the decision for her, though.
Right. That's right, and she accepts that decision. But that's a paradox. Why?
It would place God as a judge, and we said that he wasn't putting persons into places.
Right. No, but that's my interpretation. I'm saying like within the structure, there's a paradox. What's a paradox? There's a logical contradiction here. She says, God has willed me to be here, and it is my role, my duty to obey his will. Therefore, I'm happy where I am. But what's the problem with this logic, yes?
So I'm thinking, say this is the first sphere, and there's the second sphere, and eventually someone will have to advance from the first sphere to the second sphere, right? And the second sphere is supposed to be better than the first sphere, so you'll be happier in the second sphere than you were in the first sphere. However, according to this logic, one could never advance, one could never change, because if you want to advance to the second sphere, then you are not even worthy of the first sphere. If you don't want to advance to the second sphere, and God forced you to advance to the second sphere anyways, then you will be less happy in the second sphere than you were in the first sphere, which is not fitting with the second sphere.
Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense. Do you understand the logic here, right? If it was just a case where you just obey God's will and then everyone's in heaven, there would be no hierarchy in heaven. Why is there a hierarchy? Does that make sense? Okay, so why is she stuck where she is? Why is she in the lower sphere? See me?
Because she's contented.
Yeah, because she's happy where she is. Right? She wants to be there. That's a problem. Okay? All right. All right, do you guys understand this? All right. Okay. Let's keep on reading, Carol.
Then it was clear to me how every place in heaven is in paradise, though grace does not reign equally from the high good. But just as when our hunger has been sated with one food, we still long to taste the other. While thankful for the first, we crave the latter. So was I in my words and my gestures, asking to learn from her what was the web of which her shuttle had not reached the end. A perfect life, she said, and her high merit and heaven, up above, a woman whose rule governs those who, in your world, would wear nun's dress and veil, so that until their death, they wake and sleep with that spouse who accepts all vows that love conforms unto his pleasure. Still young, I fled the world to follow her, and in her order's habit, I enclosed myself and promised my life to her rule. Then men more used to malice than to good took me violently from my sweet cloister. God knows what after that my life became. This other radiance that shows itself to you at my right hand, a brightness kindled by all the light that fills our heaven, she has understood what I have said. She was a sister, and from her head too, by force, the shadow of the sacred veil was taken. But though she had been turned back to the world against her will, against all honest practice, the veil upon her heart was never loosed. This is the splendor of the great Costanza, who from the Swabians' second gust engendered the one who was their third and final power.
Okay, so let me explain what's going on, okay? So Dante's asking her, why are you here? And she says, well, what happened was that my brother is this very powerful duke, and I fell in love with God, and I wanted to serve God, so I followed a woman into the nunnery, okay? I became a nun, right? I made my vows to God. My brother, the duke, needed me as a pawn for his power politics, right? He wanted to marry me off to someone else to form an alliance. So he sent his soldiers to force me back to him, and then he married me off. But even though I was married, even though I gave children, I never abandoned my love for God. In my heart, I maintain loyalty to God. So even though my body no longer was chaste, my heart was chaste, okay? And it's not just me, but my friend here, same situation where she was also a nun, and she was also stolen to be married off by her brother, okay? And so it seems as though they've done nothing wrong, yet at the same time, they are in the lowest sphere, okay? Which basically tells us God doesn't really approve of their actions. This is a paradox, right? They did everything right, they did nothing wrong, they were forced to get married. What did they do wrong?
They didn't.
Nothing, right?
They didn't have ambition. They didn't try to exercise their free will.
Wait. How could they exercise their free will?
By refusing.
Yeah, but there are soldiers with swords dragging her away. What could she have done?
She could have tried to escape or killed herself.
Okay, wait. Yeah?
She couldn't offer herself because in Catholicism that's a sin.
Exactly. Thank you. Yes. Okay. This is a really important constraint, okay? So in the Catholic religion at this time, the worst sin in the world is suicide. You understand? If you kill someone, that's not as bad as if you kill yourself. So suicide is the worst sin. Okay? And why they made this a sin is it was very common for women who are raped to kill themselves. Why? Yeah, but why kill yourself?
no one will want to marry them.
Right, but they were Christians, you understand? They were Christians. So they thought, if I kill myself, I can just go with Jesus.
Oh, right.
And that's why the church has said, no, you can't kill yourself anymore. Okay? In fact, Augustine wrote an entire essay on this, saying, like, the worst sin is suicide, much worse than rape. Because, look, at the end of the day, they're just ripping your body. They can't touch your soul, right? So what matters is your soul. Your body doesn't matter. Your body belongs to this earth, which is nothing, but your soul belongs to God, which is everything, okay? So don't worry if you get raped. Don't worry if you get married. It doesn't matter. What matters is your faith. And so why is she in the lowest sphere? She did everything right. What's wrong with this? Yeah?
Maybe God think that the body or the soul is just what I gave to you, but if you just deny it, it means that you deny me. So maybe you need to be tortured.
Okay, let's elaborate on your idea here. Okay,
I think
you can't kill yourself, right? So what do?
So you should run away.
But they'll just catch you, right? Because your brother has an
fight
army.
back, like a Disney princess. Like you fight back.
You fight back. Yes. Yes?
But actually, I was going to say that. What about if she used the free will and she does fight back and dies honorably, and then it's not really suicide?
It's still suicide.
But is Dante saying that in this case suicide is okay? Like, is he going against that?
Dante would never say suicide's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. But again, like what's going on here?
Is he trying to kind of criticize the Christian churches?
No. Okay. No. He yeah.
Could he be bringing randomness and luck into this at all? She had a bad luck.
Does Dante believe in randomness and luck? Okay. Yes.
So this lower sphere is for people who have broken their promises. When
That's
you
right.
enter a nunnery, you make a vow to be chaste, to be a virgin forever. And no matter how you did it, no matter who forced you to do this, you still broke that promise in the eyes of God. And so God will assign you where you need to go.
I understand this, but this morning we just said that God was all forgiving, all loving, and not judgmental. This is clearly judgmental. Clearly she did nothing wrong. Why is she here? What's going on here, guys? Yeah?
Forgive herself, so she confined herself to that sphere.
Yeah, well, that is true. She did say that. I belong here, and I'm happy here. Right? But the question is, like, how did she end up here? That's a question, right? What did she do wrong? She clearly did something wrong. What was it? Okay, so I'm going to write down a phrase, okay? And you guys have all heard this phrase before, but you tell me what it means. Where there is a will,
There is a way.
there is a way. What does it mean?
Like how Rapunzel was stuck in the tower, she escaped. So if she had a will, if she had a will to escape, she could have escaped. And even if she died, she would have died honorably in trying to exercise her free will.
Okay, anyone else? I don't understand how this works. Where there's a will, there is a way. What does this mean? Okay, yeah, you really want to escape and you escape, but how does that work? Yeah?
Well, you like manifest a way, or like you imagine a way in your mind out of it, and then in some way the universe will give you a way to get there.
Exactly. Okay. Could you repeat that? This is exactly it, okay? Okay. Make sure everyone understands this idea. Say it again.
Well, if you like can imagine the world that you want, then the universe will be able to showcase a way for you, and then you will be able to walk it.
Does that make sense to you guys? Okay, let me explain the process. First of all is the will. You really, really want it, okay? And when that happens is you don't know how, an idea will come into your mind. You will imagine a way And then what will happen is that this manifestation, this imagination, the universe will respond and shape reality in a way that allows you to manifest your will. Does that make sense, guys? Okay? So the problem is that she did not want it enough. You understand? It isn't that she broke her will, it's just she was not faithful enough. If you really want to escape, then an idea would have come into your mind to show you the way. And then you just go do it, and the universe bends reality in a way that allows you to escape. Okay? But the key is the will, right? And what this is saying is like you can do anything you want, the universe will grant it to you. The question is, do you really, really want it or not? And clearly, she did not. And how do we know? She didn't want it?
She's here.
Oh yeah, sure, she's here, but what else?
It happened to her anyways.
No, but what's her problem right now? She doesn't want to go anywhere else. Do you understand? That's the problem.
Oh.
It's not that she's here. It's like she doesn't want to go beyond this point. She's like, I'm perfectly happy here, man. I went to heaven. I'm awesome, you know? Like, I went to Yale. I'm the worst student at Yale, but I'm happy being the worst student at Yale. Like that's like literally what she's saying. Okay? Right? All right. Any more questions? Do you guys, this is a really important idea if you want to understand Dante, okay? You are always in communication with the universe, right? It's only a question of like how focused, how intentional, how much will do you have in achieving what you want? All right? So if you don't get, yeah?
I just want to add that like that's what like free will is about. Like free will is not just being able to do what you want, but like being able to will what you want.
Exactly.
Like, it's more about the will than like the action.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. Yes. Yes?
Have like Nietzsche's will to power idea, or is it different?
Okay, let's just say for whatever reason, you want to become king, right? And what's the question?
Is Dante's this idea about will kind of the same as Nietzsche's idea about will to power? Like
Yes, it's very similar. Yes.
It reminds me of a concept we learned in psychology where it's called self-efficacy. It was brought up by Bandura. The idea is that like the number one reason why you're able to accomplish something is you believing in yourself that you can accomplish that thing.
Exactly. Right. And it's the word it's like the popular phrase is manifestation. You understand? You manifest it. Okay, meaning you imagine it, but you're able to imagine it because you will it into being, right? Which is Nietzsche's point, okay? And I mean, like, it's really important to understand that what they're all saying is that there's really no good and evil in the universe. There's just will, okay? And so it's entirely your choice how to live it. And I know this sounds a bit weird, but we'll try to unpack it as we go along, okay? This idea here, okay? You also had a comment or a question?
Yeah, I just want to clarify, did she like not want to escape bad enough, or did she not want to ascend to the next sphere bad enough?
Okay, all right, so let's go deeper into this, okay? You're Picarda, okay? You're in a convent, you're happy in the convent. Soldiers come to you, okay? Let's try to imagine her state of mind. What is she thinking? What are some of the emotions going through her mind? What is she thinking right now? She's in the convent. There's like an army like outside the convent demanding that she go with them, right? And they're like mean. They have like swords. They're really mean people. And like quite honestly, they could come and kill everyone in the convent, right? What is she thinking right now? What's her thought process?
Feel like she's really in despair because obviously as like one woman she cannot face off this
Exactly.
group of people.
Fear and despair, right?
Yeah, and then maybe like she will pray to God because like hopefully God will save her, but maybe it wasn't like strong enough.
And what will God say? Yeah, sorry. And what will God say to this? You're afraid, you're in despair. You pray to God, please save me, please save me, please save me. So what's wrong with that? Yeah?
Well, I just wanted to say that God just needs your trust. So if you trust God and you love God enough, then you wouldn't fear death and you wouldn't be afraid of the soldiers.
Yeah, that's the problem. The fear is a problem. You understand? The fact that you fear means you don't really truly believe in God. It tells God you don't really want to be saved, okay? It's not fear. You understand? Yeah. Okay? So that's why she's stuck where she is. Because she's afraid. It's not like she's happy, but she's afraid of the unknown. She's afraid of that leap of faith that you have to put into God. That's her limitation. Yeah?
Can I ask a follow-up question? So is it still possible for her to change in heaven, like maybe develop like a will to advance? Or
of course it is. What's the problem?
Oh, so at first I thought like what she did as a human like defined like where she will go in like heaven and
no, it doesn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But what's the problem with her?
Like she doesn't want to advance?
Exactly. Do you understand? Okay.
Okay.
And why doesn't she want to? What's the reason why she doesn't
Maybe
want to
she's
change?
like content or like
No, it's not because she's content. It's because. But why doesn't she have a will? She's afraid. Do you understand? It's the fear. You understand?
Oh, okay.
Right? It's a fear. And the
so it's
fear.
like that she's scared that like she cannot advance or
Yeah, she's afraid of disappointment. She's afraid of failure.
Oh, okay.
Right? So she's stuck saying, okay, well, God just wants me here.
So I'm just gonna stay here.
Yeah, it's a
okay.
pretext. It's a rationale.
So it's like comforting yourself when you got like a bad grade or something, right?
It's a very human reaction.
Okay.
We do this all the time, right?
Yeah.
We say we're happy, being the worst student at Yale, but you're not, okay?
Okay, yeah, I get it. Thank you.
All right. Any more questions or comments? Yeah?
Oh, yeah. So I just want to know the difference between worship and belief. For example, I believe in God, but it doesn't mean that I worship God. Because I think worship is a much higher belief than.
Does God care if you worship Him or not? Does God care if you worship Him or not? Does God care if you're a Christian or not? And also, like, it doesn't matter. Do you understand? What matters are your actions, right? What matters is it's your actions that define who you are, right? If you are Picarda and you're like, okay, let's use your imagination. There's an army surrounding the convent, okay? The army says, you come out now or come in and we'll kill everyone in the convent, okay? And Picarda is fearless. And she has total faith in God. What could she have done to get herself out of the situation? Guys, use your imagination. What could she have done? Imagine yourself as Picarda. You're in a convent, yeah?
Maybe like I wouldn't actually do it, but I will probably pretend to suicide or whatever. Like if you guys dare to come in, I'll just kill myself.
Yeah. Do you understand this? You just stand on top of the roof and says, okay, guys, you come in the door, I'll jump down. Right? If you're the army, what's your job again? What's your job as the army?
To get her safely to the barracks.
Exactly, right? And so what would the army do?
Try to go up to the castle and like bring her down?
No, they wouldn't. They'd be afraid, right? Because where are they now? No. I'm saying, where are they? What building or is in front of them?
God.
God is in front of them. You understand? Who do you think has taken possession of Picarda right now? if you see a woman, okay, who's like a princess, and she's standing on top of a roof and says, "Hey guys, you come in, I'll jump down." Who do you think you're fighting now?
God.
You're fighting God now, okay? And so they're gonna run away, right? They go back to the Duke and says, "Hey man, your sister's crazy." What's the Duke gonna do?
Marry another woman.
Well, he'll probably come himself, okay? And now he's outside the nunnery, and she's doing the same thing again, right? You come in and I'm jump down the roof. What's he gonna do?
Try to persuade her but fail, maybe.
And then what's he gonna do?
Then go away.
He has to go home now. You understand? Because like you can't deal with this crap, right? But you see what's happened. Just the will, like, yeah.
Like this is actually a question directed at something you said earlier. So you said earlier that your actions define where you are on this celestial ladder. However, spoilers, but like in purgatory are the good pagans. So the good pagans who did not believe in God but did good deeds. So if your deeds define who you are, then why are the good pagans stuck there?
Okay, we have not read completely the Divine Comedy. What you'll find is that even though Catholic Church says that your Christian identity determines if you go to heaven or hell, Dante doesn't believe this. Okay? Right? Does that make sense? Yeah. As we keep on reading, you'll find that there are pagans who are in heaven. Okay?
So they're just not good enough.
Yeah. All right. Yeah?
About the imaginative situation that when she says that she's gonna like fall off the castle, what if the soldiers just think that she's lying, and then or if she says that but she doesn't really believe it, would they still like come and get her, or would they be convinced by her?
Well, imagine if you were a soldier, what would you be thinking? Excuse me?
She's bluffing.
Yeah, she could be bluffing.
And are you gonna take the chance?
No.
You're not gonna take a chance. You understand? Okay, because I mean, like, okay, I mean, you have to like imagine yourself in that situation. Okay, you're the soldier. Ricard is doing this crap on you, right? You have to think God has taken possession of her, and they are in a nunnery. You understand? Okay, so the human reaction would be like, I need to get out of here, man. This is not a good situation for me, right? Because if I go back and I tell the Duke, your sister's crazy and she won't come home, what will the Duke do?
Off with your head.
Well,
I think it's the problem with the livelihoods, because maybe they're paid by the Duke, and then like if they aren't paid, that they wouldn't be able to feed like their families back home, I think.
Okay, well, imagine two situations. The first situation is you go back to the Duke and says, your sister's crazy and we have to like come back. Second situation is like, we thought your sister was bluffing, so we stormed the nunnery and she jumped off the roof, now she's dead.
Yeah, the first one's better.
The first one is probably better for you, okay? It's a lot better for you, right? Okay, so again, I'm not saying this is what's gonna happen. I'm saying like, if you have the will, there's always going to be a way. And that's something that Dante is trying to portray here, okay? All right, okay, let's keep on reading.
This said, she then began to sing Ave Maria, and while singing, vanished as a weighty thing will vanish in deep water. My sight, which followed her as long as it was able to, once she was out of view, returned to where its greater longing lay, and it was wholly bent on Beatrice. But she then struck my eyes with so much brightness that I, at first, could not withstand her force, and that made me delay my question.
So Dante has met Ricarda, and now he wants to ask Beatrice a question. What is his question? We just spent the last hour talking about it. What question does Dante really, really want to ask Beatrice now? What did she do wrong, right? Like, I don't understand this at all. She did nothing wrong. Okay, all right, let's continue to Candle 4.
Before a man bit into one of two foods equally removed and tempting, he would die of hunger if his choice were free. So would a lamb stand motionless between the cravings of two savage wolves. In fear of both, so would a dog between two deer. Thus, I need neither blame nor praise myself when both my doubts compelled me equally. What kept me silent was necessity.
So Dante is very confused, so confused that he's in fear, okay? He has anxiety over this. Again, the question is, what did Ricarda do wrong here? He's really confused by this. Keep on going.
I did not speak, but in my face were seen longing and questioning, more ardent than if spoken words had made them evident. Then Beatrice did just as Daniel did when he appeased Nebuchadnezzar's anger, the rage that made the king unjustly fierce. She said, I see how both desires draw you, so that your anxiousness to know is self-tangled and cannot express itself. Your reason, if my will to good persists, why should the violence of others cause the measure of my merit to be less?
Okay, so do you understand this, okay? Ricarda, what did she do wrong? She was forced to leave the convent. She had no choice in the matter. So why is she stuck in the lowest sphere? Okay, keep on going.
And you're also led to doubt because the doctrine Plato taught would find support by souls appearing to return to the stars. These are the questions that, within your will, press equally for answers. Therefore, I shall treat the most insidious question first. Neither the seraph closest unto God, nor Moses, Samuel, nor either John, whichever one you will, nor Mary, has, I say, their place in any other heaven than that which houses those souls you just saw, nor will their blessedness last any longer. But all those souls grace the Empyrean, and in each of them has gentle life, though some sends the eternal spirit more, some less. They showed themselves to you here not because this is their sphere, but as a sign for you that in the Empyrean their place is lowest.
Okay, so this is a really important idea to keep in mind, okay? This is a metaphorical representation of the heavens. In the actual heavens, there is no time and space, so there is no hierarchy, okay? But there are certain souls that are not as worthy as other souls, and so they are now visually depicted in the lower spheres. Okay, so this is just an optical illusion in order for us to better understand what's going on. Keep on going.
Such signs are suited to your mind, since from the sense only can it apprehend what then becomes fit for the intellect.
Okay, so again, there's no time and space here, right? So only by adding in time and space can we truly understand what's going on. Keep on going.
And this is why the Bible condescends to human powers, assigning feet and hands to God, but meaning something else instead. And Gabriel and Michael and the angel who healed the eyes of Tobit are portrayed by Holy Church with human visages. That which Timaeus said in Reasoning of Souls does not describe what you have seen, since it would seem that as he speaks, he thinks. He says the soul returns to that same star from which, so he believes, it had been taken when nature sent that soul as form to body.
Okay, all right. So, so the idea here is that we all come from the soul world. Okay, and in the soul world, we come with a purpose, and after we die, we go back to the same place that we come from. But then this raises the question then is, what is the point of life then? Right? If you're just going to end up in the same place you started out with, who cares what you do here? Right? Yes, did you have a comment or question?
Yeah, well, through like life on Earth, you can learn and have experiences, and then they can shape you and maybe like make you more enlightened and help.
Yeah, but you still end up in the same place.
But that, well, you could change, right? Like you can change your opinion or yourself. You will basically.
On this world, but back in the old world, the real world, the world of the heavens, you're still stuck where you are. But this is what Timmons is saying, okay? Not what Dante is saying. Dante would obviously say that no, you can actually ascend. Yeah.
So I would say that's a very materialist view of life. So we're gonna die anyways. So why not have fun? Like if you're stuck,
Yeah, exactly.
If you're stuck there, then all you have is every day you can sing, I guess. But here you can drink beer, you can have a wife, you could do a lot of things, and that's the fun that matters.
Why not? You know, like because you can't, as you say, you can't get drunk and throw up there. So do it here, man. Right? What and like, you know, have lots and lots of sex, man, and go kill someone just for fun, right? What's stopping you? Okay? All right. I'm not saying go do these things. I'm just saying, like, you know, but anyway, keep on going.
But his opinion is, perhaps, to be taken in other guise than his words speak, intending something not to be derided. If to these spheres he wanted to attribute honor and blame for what they influence, perhaps his arrow reaches something true. This principle, ill understood, misled almost all of the world once, so that Jove and Mercury and Mars gave names to stars. The other doubt that agitates you is less poisonous, for its insidiousness is not such as to lead you far from me. To mortal eyes, our injustice seems unjust. That this is so should serve as evidence for faith, not heresy's depravity. But that your intellect may penetrate more carefully into your other query, I shall, as you desire, explain it clearly. If violence means that the one who suffers has not abetted forces in any way, then there's no excuse these souls can claim. For will, if it resists, is never spent, but acts as nature acts when fire ascends, though force 1,000 times tries to compel.
Okay, so here, she's explaining exactly what we discussed, okay? As long as you have the will, it becomes like a fire ascending. And there's no force on our planet that can stop our will. You understand? Same idea here, where if you really want it, you're going to imagine a solution, that's the fire ascending, and then the universe will bend itself to accommodate you. Okay? Keep on going.
So that when will has yielded much or little, it has abetted force, as these souls did. They could have fled back to their holy shelter.
Okay, so yeah, that's it, okay? The reason why these soldiers were able to arrest you and take you back is you let them do it. You agreed to it. Don't say you were forced to do it, okay? You could have run away. You could have done a lot of things, okay? Keep on going.
Had their will been as whole as that which held Lawrence fast to the great, and that which made of Mucius one who judged his own hand, then once freed, they would have willed to find the faith from which they had been dragged. But it is all too seldom that a will is so intact.
Okay, all right, so Mucius is a great story. Have you guys ever heard the story of Mucius? All right, so what happened was that the Romans were a small republic, and they're surrounded by this huge empire. They were under siege, and they were starving. So one young nobleman, Mucius, and he's like 20 years old, he suggests that he goes and assassinate the king, okay? So he gets permission from the Roman elders, the senators. He swims across the Tiber, sneaks into the enemy camp, and he's trying to assassinate the king. The problem is that it's payday. And so there are two people on stage, the king and the secretary. And and they both look alike, they dress alike. Okay? And so Moses is like, I don't know who's the king, right? I have one dagger, I'm gonna leap and I'm gonna kill someone, but I might miss. And, it's 50-50, okay? What would you do in that situation? What would you do? No, well, you can't, right? You understand? If you kill one, the soldiers have to come and arrest you. Right? So what do you do? What would you do? Seriously.
Maybe I would like to kill one of them. I don't care who is real. I just kill because I kill them. It means my will is there. So
yeah, okay. So most people would just go home or like just wait, okay? But Mucius is like, screw this. I'm gonna take a chance, okay? So he kills one, and of course it's the secretary. So now he's arrested, and the king says to him, "You see that fire over there? This fire is burning, okay? It's a bonfire. And if you don't tell me exactly who you work for and how many compatriots you have and what your plan is, I'm gonna burn you in that bonfire, okay? You either confess and tell me everything, I'm gonna burn you alive." So what does Mucius do? Yeah?
I think he stuck his hand in the fire and said that he's not afraid.
Yeah, that's what he does, okay? He just put his hand in the fire and it's burning, okay? And while this is happening, he's laughing. The king is like, "You Romans are such crazy bastards that I'm gonna go run away now." Okay? And so this is probably not a true story, but it shows you the power of the will. Whereas as long as you believe, as long as you are willing to act, the universe will bend itself to your will. Okay, and this is very different from the idea of strategy, right? Or, let's be really, really clever. Okay? This is something very different. It's a different power. All right, okay. Keep on going.
And through these words, if you have grasped their bent, you can eliminate the argument that would have troubled you again and often. But now another obstacle obstructs your sight. You cannot overcome it by yourself. It is too wearying to try. I've set it in your mind as something certain that souls in blessedness can never lie, since they are always near the primal truth. But from Picarda, you were also able to hear how Constance kept her love of the veil. And here Picarda seems to contradict me. Before this, brother, it has often happened that to flee menace, men unwillingly did what should not be done. So did Alcmaeon. To meet the wishes of his father, kill his mother, not to fail in filial piety, he acted ruthlessly.
Okay, all right. So often in life, when we make decisions, we often contradict principles, okay? So for example, this man, Alcmaeon, his father ordered him to kill his mother. Obviously, murder is wrong, but you also have to respect your father, right? Disobeying your father is wrong, murdering your mother is wrong. What do? Okay, often in life, we have these moral dilemmas. Okay, keep on going.
At that point, I would have you see the forces to which one yielded mingles with one's will, and no excuse can pardon their joint act. Absolute will does not concur in wrong, but the contingent will, through fear that its resistance might bring greater harm, consents. Therefore, Picarda means the absolute will when she speaks, and I the relative, so that the two of us have spoken truth.
Okay, all right. So this is a really important idea we need to unpack, okay? There's a difference between absolute will and relative will, contingent will. What's the difference? Yes?
So absolute will is I will love God no matter what, and contingent will is I will love God, and then someone tells you if you love God, I'll kill you, and so you say okay, I don't.
Okay, any other theories?
I'd say they come from different places. Absolute will comes from imagination, it comes from your own story, whereas relative will comes from reasoning, logic, comparing outcomes.
Okay, any other explanations? Absolute will, contingent will. What is the difference?
The same as absolute morality and relative morality.
What's the difference
Kind of like-
between these two things?
So I don't know, like absolute is that no matter what it's gonna happen, but contingent it's kind of like because I don't want more harm to be done, kind of like what the book Silence is about, where the Catholic priest, in order to protect the Japanese believers, said that they are going to not be priests and take wives.
Okay. We'll go to you then you, okay? Yeah.
I would say contingent will is constrained by reality, and absolute will is like it's always there. Like absolute will is God, basically, like
Okay.
the will of God.
And so how can we describe these things more simplistically? Absolute will is what? Contingent will is what?
Can I answer? Yeah.
Hmm?
Can I answer?
Yeah.
So contingent will, well, it would be the individual human, and the absolute will would be by God displaced in us.
And what is our connection to the God? How do we connect to God?
Through love.
Okay. Yeah?
So like I would say that absolute will is active. It is the will that finds the way. It creates its own condition, for it is unstoppable. Contingent will operates within the confines of the material. It reacts to what is put before it in order to follow itself. But
Right. So
existent.
both you and you are right, okay? But I'm saying add the two together. What do you get? Very simplistically, what is the difference? Yeah? Did you have a comment or question?
Yeah, but it's sort of not related. I
It's
think
fine.
absolute will would be faith, and then contingent will would be belief, and one needs justification, the other doesn't.
Okay, yeah.
Absolute will is when you're aligned with God, and contingent is when you're not.
Okay, but how can we say this very simplistically?
I'm gonna give it a try. So maybe absolute will is like perfect, and then like contingent will is imperfect. So it will, if you don't like exercise it well, it will be like faulty and lead to like bad things.
Okay. All right. So let's put this very simple. Okay. Absolute will is a soul, right? The soul is always in connection with the God. Contingent will is the body. The body needs to respond to the material universe, the material world. So the contingent will can be afraid. So what Beatrice is saying is that when Picardo was acting, her absolute will was still true to God, but her contingent will defied God. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay, but why would this be a problem? Yeah?
I have a question. Do these two can they coexist at the same time? Absolute will and contingent will?
Okay, so Dante is putting this very simplistically, okay? What he's saying is that there are two wills, the absolute will, your soul, the contingent will, your body responds to worldly problems. But you can think of the will existing in infinite dimensions. Does that make sense? Infinite dimensions. So there's infinite wills. And yeah. And what are you trying to do as a person? You're trying to create harmony across these infinite dimensions of wills, okay? You're trying to align the absolute will with a contingent will. And why would you want to do that? Yeah?
Oh, yeah, maybe it's just like, I remember Bruce Lee used to say to try to be combined to harmony. So maybe in China, maybe most people just like to keep balance. They don't like to choose the too extreme. Whether you're a spiritual thing or whether you're a material thing, they just combine.
Yeah, I understand that. Yes, keep on going. Yes?
Well, if you align all contingent wills and create absolute will, you create godhood, or you become God, right?
No, you're not trying to become God. You're trying to be close to God. Do you understand? There's a difference.
But like if you like all the wills of the people, if you can like make them objective, then that would be being like God. So through doing that through power, like.
No, that's not what Dante would say. Some other people would say that, but not Dante. Okay. All right. So the idea here is there are different expressions, manifestations of your will. Okay. There's the absolute will, which is always in connection with God, and then there's a contingent will, which is your choices on this world. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to harmonize these two wills in order to become closer to God, in order to make the right decisions. Okay? So for Carla, in her instance, her absolute will was loyal to God, but her contingent will surrendered to fear. Okay? And that's what her problem was. Does that make sense, guys? Any questions before we move on? Yeah?
So how can we combine these two wills together, like better?
Any response to this? How do you combine these two together?
Well, maybe because why people just feel scared about death because they don't know where they're going to go, right? But if we know where we're going to go, there must be some kind of a universe in that place. Maybe they don't need to scare about it. The fears is come from unknown. But if we know something, then we don't think the fear
that's
will
right.
be a problem.
So historically, there have been two solutions. Okay, the first solution is knowledge, gnosis. Just continue to read Dante, explore, and just discover the secrets of the universe. And once you have the knowledge, you lose fear, right? Because why are you afraid of death? Because you're afraid that if you die, you'll just be nothing. But if you actually know the secrets of the universe, you recognize that death is just a release, or it's just a beginning of something else. So you lose that fear, okay? So knowledge is one possibility, but another possibility is the idea of love, okay? To just love someone so intensely that you give yourself to that person and you lose your fear. And when you love someone unconditionally, what happens is the absolute will and the contingent will combine together, because all your actions are dictated by your love for that person. This is what Dante will tell us later on. Okay, does that make sense? Knowledge or love? Okay. All right. Can you continue to read, please?
Such was the rippling of the holy stream issuing from the fountain from which springs all truth. It set to rest both of my longing. Then I said, O beloved of the first lover, O you divine, whose speech so floods and warms me that I feel more and more life, however deep my gratefulness, it cannot match your grace with grace enough. But he who sees and can, may he grant recompense. I now see well. We cannot satisfy our mind unless it is enlightened by the truth beyond whose boundary no truth lies. Mind, reaching that truth, rests within it as a beast within its lair. Mind can attain that truth. If not, all our desires were vain. Therefore, our doubting blossoms like a shoot out from the root of truth. This natural urge spurs us toward the peak, from height to height. Lady, my knowing why we doubt, invites, sustains, my reverent asking you about another truth that is obscure to me. I want to know if, in your eyes, one can amend for unkept vows with other acts. Good works your balance will not find too scant. Then Beatrice looked at me with eyes so full of sparks of love, eyes so divine that my own force of sight was overcome, took flight, and eyes downcast, I almost lost my senses.
Okay, so this is very much a student-teacher relationship, right? Where Beatrice is the teacher and Dante is a student. And as the teacher, what Beatrice really wants is for the student to ask questions, to doubt, to challenge. Because only through this process can the student achieve full understanding, okay? So, why is Beatrice excited about the question that Dante asked? Okay, so we've had this long discussion about Piccarda, right? We now know what she did wrong. And we now know why she is in the lower sphere. But then Dante asks this question, and he asks this question, and the question is, so she screwed up, okay? She was taken by the soldiers from the nunnery, so that showed a lack of will. But is it possible for her to redeem herself by committing acts of charity so wonderful that it redeems her from her lack of will? Does that make sense, guys? Like, so she's a nun, she's taken away, and now she becomes a queen. And she's like, you know what? I want to be the best queen in the world. I'm going to give all my wealth to all the poor people in the world. That makes sense, right? What do you guys think? Would that work?
Except that wouldn't solve the core problem of her still being fearful of failure, right? Fearful of transcending.
Okay, can you explain some more, please?
The reason why Picadia was not able to transcend, to get to the next level, was because she was fearful. At the core, in life, in her journey, she's still gonna get back to that same situation where she'll have to choose, right, between a rock and a hard place, right? So then, if she doesn't have the will to transcend that, then you're still not the next level. Like, you're still not in the next sphere.
Okay. Okay, so that's logically correct, yes. Okay, but let's go deeper, yes?
Yeah, so I was thinking that she cannot be redeemed by this because essentially she is doing all these like acts of charity for like the result of her redeeming herself. So she's not being genuine about these like acts of kindness, and I don't think that that's able to redeem her.
Yeah, but who cares? She's still helping the poor.
Yeah,
right?
but then that act would not be like totally good because it would be for like a selfish purpose. Like, if that makes sense.
I understand that makes sense, but I'm trying to logically understand what's going on. So, I mean, she breaks her vow, then she goes and like helps 1 billion people live happier lives, right? She's a great queen. Wouldn't that redeem her in the eyes of God?
Yes, but like,
No,
she
actually, it
did.
would not. The
Yeah.
answer is it would not redeem her in the eyes of God. But I'm trying to figure out what the problem is.
So I guess like my answer to that would be like she is pushing herself to do a lot of these things because she still is worried that like God is not going to like forgive her, and then that she's going to end in like a bad circle in heaven. So
Yeah, but-
she is still worried. So like she's still not like acting upon that will.
Okay, I don't understand because she just helped 1 billion people live happier lives. And it's coming from a place of anxiety and fear. She's afraid that God will punish her. But the results are good, so who cares?
Quality over quantity in this case.
Can you explain what this means?
The fundamental nature of her soul or her being, of her existence in her own eyes, there's always going to be that as she progresses until she overcomes this fear of failure. She can help 1 billion, 1 trillion. She's going to get back to that same spot. You're going to have to choose, and you're going to have to choose to overcome your fears.
Okay. Yes?
The way you're posing the question sounds very consequentialist with ethics, like we're caring about the outcome, but this would have been in a time of like Aristotelian virtue ethics, and so we would be caring far more about the 4 virtues than the outcome.
Okay, but I understand this. I understand this is a different time, but I'm saying like, in the grand scheme of things, if this person, Ricardo, is helping 1 billion people live happier lives, who cares what her motivation is? Who cares why she's doing any of this, right? I'm saying this not in any context. I'm just saying like generally speaking, the general principle. Yeah.
It's the Constantine argument all over again. So if you watch the movie Constantine, so Constantine did some bad things and then he tried to save himself by doing a lot of good things. In his case, it was exorcising demons. And he got really mad when God and his angels kept telling him that, oh, you're going to go to hell anyways. And he asked the angel, why can't I go to heaven? And the angel was like, oh, it's because none of the things you did was selfless. You see, Ricardo helped all of these people live better lives. But these people literally have nothing to do with her own soul. Like when God is not judgmental. When God looks at you, let's say when he looks at you, he does not see your deeds. He sees your salvation through your spirit. And in this case, she has not attained salvation through her spirit. She has tried to use good deeds to make up for this, but she has not attained this.
Yeah, that is correct, yes. That is closer to what I want, yes. Anyone else? Yes?
Yeah, but I think this make me have question because I just want to know the difference between a demon and a God. Because demon also said that I mean to be God. So
there are no demons.
The demons.
There are no demons. There's only God.
Oh, the only God, yes. Right? So therefore, I think the God is out to give you something for not in return, but the crane maybe just try to make a deal with you, or maybe just sign a contract or what. Okay,
guys. All right. So we could be here like all day, okay? But let me explain what the idea here is. To understand what's going on, I need to explain to you Immanuel Kant's categorical imperative. Okay? The categorical imperative by Immanuel Kant. And there are 3 principles to the categorical imperative, which is the highest moral law in the universe. Okay? The rule of life that allows you to be closer to God. The categorical imperative. Okay, so the first idea is you are a reflection of the universe. So just imagine that whatever you do, the entire universe will do. If you laugh, the universe laughs with you. If you are angry, the universe is angry with you. Okay? So imagine that you are just a fractal or reflection of the entire universe. And whatever you do, the entire universe will do as well. Okay? Now we understand why whatever Picard does doesn't redeem her. Because her act of fear, her act of incontinence, of going with the soldiers and not keeping her vows, it changes the nature of the universe. And that doesn't really matter if she made 1 billion people richer. It doesn't matter, okay? The universe is poorer because of her fear, of her lack of faith. That's number 1. Number 2 is free will. Everything you do because it is your choice. So back to the original point, which is like, you're like, I have to go help. If I go help 1 billion people, then I should be able to go to heaven, right? Or Constantine says, well, I killed a lot of demons, so therefore I should go to heaven. That's not the way it works, okay? Everything you do has to be because of free will. And the last is humans are the ultimate end, okay? You cannot say, okay, to save 1 billion people, I need to kill that one person. That goes against the categorical imperative. I know it sounds stupid. Wait a minute, I kill one person, I save 1 billion people? You can't do that, okay? That's not how the universe works. Every soul is precious to God. Every soul is unique to God. Therefore, you cannot kill another soul in order to advance a greater good, okay? God would never, ever ask you to kill someone else in order to achieve a higher good. So this is the categorical imperative. And the categorical imperative is really a way for us to understand the morality of Dante's cosmology, of his universe. Okay, does that make sense? That's why there's no way for Picard to redeem herself in the eyes of God. All right? So this raises an interesting question. What can Picard do to redeem herself then, according to the categorical imperative, according to Dante? How? Well, if she becomes queen and she saves 1 billion people, that doesn't work. So what can she do?
She can run away and go back to the nunnery.
Yes, that is a possibility, yes.
Maybe just sharing as much love as she can to her like children's.
That's no different from making 1 billion people happier, right?
Yeah, but it would be more like personal and like connected to the soul, I guess. Like, because also giving money to people isn't really about love, in a way.
Yeah, but why is she loving her children so much? Why is she so nice to her children then? It goes back to the Constantine problem, right? It's the same thing where Constantine was doing a lot of good by killing these demons, and God says, we don't care. Same thing where, if Procarda has 10 kids and they all love her and she loves them back, God's not going to care either. The same situation, right? So I'm saying, like, what can she do to redeem herself in the eyes of God? Yes, and then you. Well, if there's no way, then there's no free will, right? So there has to be a way, yes?
Repent.
How? I'm just asking this question. How can you repent? Yes?
If there's free will, then her will should be able to change. So, like, instead of wanting to be closer to God, thus being in a nunnery, she could change her free will. She'd change her will.
How? I don't understand.
Like, her will is now, I will be a good king and a good mother, a queen and a good mother.
We just said that. We just said that doesn't work.
But
right?
that was because she was coming from a place of fear. If she comes from a place of will.
Right, and so, okay, so now what's happening is that her contingent will is now harmonizing with her absolute will, which forces her to do what? Yes?
So this is this is like prosperity gospel. Okay, this is really stupid. This is really entitled. But what if Ricarda just stops begging God to, like, oh God, please notice me? What if Ricarda goes, okay, I am worthy of this now?
Is she begging God for anything?
Yeah, well, the solutions that we just proposed, like doing all these good deeds, that's a roundabout way of begging, to be honest.
But is she doing any of these things? Is she doing any of these things?
Yeah, she isn't.
No, she isn't. What is she feeling right now? Like, what's she feeling right now? She's in heaven. How does she feel?
Content.
She's pretty content, okay? So this is all hypothetical. I'm saying if she really wanted to redeem herself in the eyes of God, what would she do?
Maybe she can increase her will. Like, I do want to ascend into like a closer space to God.
Exactly, okay? That's it, okay? Do you understand? If all she's, like, the way she redeems herself is saying, I'm not happy being the dumbest kid at Yale. I want to be like second dumbest kid at Yale or something, okay? Anything, who cares? But that would make her redeem herself in the eyes of God. Because now she's exercising more will. When you do that, you're showing your faith, love, and trust in God. That's what God wants. None of this crap like, okay, I'll donate $1 billion to charity, okay? Or I'll be really nice to my kids. God doesn't want that crap. God wants you to love yourself, okay? So in other words, who really put her in the lowest sphere? It's herself, do you understand? It's all free will. It's all free choice. Wherever you are in the universe, it's because you choose to be there. Does that make sense? No one put you there, okay? When Procarda says, God put me here and I'm thankful to God, she is insulting God. Okay? Because God would never do that to you. God would never make you the dumbest kid at Yale. All right? If you choose to do that. Am I talking too much about Yale?
That's fine.
Yeah.
It makes it more alive.
Right. Sorry about that. All right, okay. All right, so let's go on, okay?
All right.
If in the fire of love I seem to flame beyond the measure visible on earth, so that I overcome your visions forth, you need not wonder. I'm so because of my perfected vision. As I grasp the good, so I approach the good in act. Indeed, I see that in your intellect now shines the never-ending light. Once seen, that light alone and always kindles love. And if a lesser thing allure your love, it is a vestige of that light which, though imperfectly, gleams through that lesser thing. You wish to know if through a righteous act one can repair a promise unfulfilled so that the soul and God are reconciled? So Beatrice began this canto, and as one who does not interrupt her speech, so did her holy reasoning proceed. The greatest gift, the magnanimity of God, as he created, gave, the gift most suited to his goodness, gift that he most prizes, was the freedom of the will.
Okay, guys, do you guys see this, okay? She's saying, because God loves us, he gives us free will. That is his greatest gift to us. Okay, that's how we know he loves us. I'm going.
Those beings that have intellect, all these and none but these, received and do receive this gift. Thus you may draw as consequence the high worth of a vow when what is pledged with your consent encounters God's consent. For when a pact is drawn between a man and God, then through free will, a man gives up what I have called his treasure, his free will. What then can be a fitting compensation? To use again what you had offered would mean seeking to do good with ill-got gain. But now you understand the major point. But since the Holy Church gives dispensations, which seems in contrast with the truth I stated, you need to sit at table somewhat longer. The food that you have taken was tough food. It still needs help if you're to digest it. Open your mind to what I shall disclose and hold it fast within you. He who hears but does not hold what he has heard learns nothing.
Okay, stop. Okay, all right. So let's try to figure this out, okay? So Dante asked this question. Picarda did wrong, but is there a way to compensate for what she did? What is Beatrice's answer? What is the logic here? Just summarize for me what she's saying. The logic is this, right? God loves us, and God's greatest gift to us is to give us free will. So we can do whatever we want. Okay? And what does Picarda do with this free will, free choice?
Doesn't do anything.
Excuse me?
Away her own free will.
She promised her free will to God so that the two are now bound together. Okay? So what's happened is that God gave Picarda free will, and then Picarda gave her free will to God so that now they are eternally married. Right? They're eternally married. You can't divorce. You cannot betray the person, okay? So what Picarda did was not just not keep a vow, she betrayed God. Right? That is what Beatrice is saying. This is pretty extreme. Are you guys okay with this line of argument?
So her mistake was promising her free will to God?
So yes, and what and so like do you think it's a bit harsh, you think?
No.
Yeah.
I think this is a pretty slippery slope to slide on. I think it's a slope. It's a logical issue. So you're taking something that's pretty small and you're blowing it up out of context. Like everything can stand for something. Like his Ricardo's vows to God can stand for God himself. And if they can stand for God himself, then she betrayed God and it becomes bigger and bigger, and that's a problem.
Okay, let's use an analogy, okay? Let's just say that a man and a wife got married, okay? It's a marriage. The wife betrays the husband with some affair. How could the wife redeem herself in the eyes of the husband? Yeah?
Well, actually, this is very sensitive because I think a loving affair is kind of third wheel, right? So if there's third wheel, then I think the wife should make apologize. So the God will forgive the people who make apologize.
Okay. So your wife cheats on you, and she apologizes, and you're like, fine, I forgive you. Are you really going to forgive her?
Physically, yes. Mentally, no.
What can she do to redeem herself in your eyes if you're the husband and she cheats on you? There's no way. I don't think there is. I don't know. Okay? Right? I mean, let's switch this, okay? You're the wife and the husband cheats on you. What could he do to redeem himself in your eyes? What?
Oh. Out of battery.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, there's another one over here. Yeah.
So I wasn't gonna say that he can't redeem himself. I was gonna say that he can only be redeemed when I decide that he is redeemed. Like he has no choice in the matter. I decide whether or not he's redeemed.
Well, I know what you're saying.
Go
because
ahead.
I think a better way of framing it is whoever that cheats, right, the wife or the husband. In this case, if the husband cheats, right, how would the husband be able to redeem himself in the eye of himself, in his own journey, right, as opposed to relative to, because this is judgment, right? If the wife needs to judge whether the husband is redeemed, that's your level. So in the eyes of the husband himself who cheated, how do you get back to that place before you cheated, right? So I think, I guess the only solution is similar, like you break the cycle. If you find yourself in a cheating situation again, if you decide not to cheat, I think that's.
Oh, no, you already cheated.
Or you pretend that you didn't cheat.
Well,
I think that's how it works, man.
Well, in your next marriage.
Sorry.
So maybe I want to reiterate what she was thinking because humans aren't God, and so
what?
Humans aren't God.
Yeah, that's right. They're not God.
And so, but this is a judgment. The wife is dealing with the cheater, and she's trying to regain trust. But God doesn't have this issue of trust.
Okay,
of
but
judgment.
I understand all that. So I'm saying, like, can you give me a concrete thing you can do to redeem yourself?
Well, you'd change your character, and then you would gain trust by that changed character. So someone who cheats at 18, maybe they don't cheat at 40. So it just takes time and regain trust.
But how can you regain trust?
By not cheating in the future. I mean, by being a different person. You can't go back in time and uncheat, right? So all you're going to do is find yourself, like he's saying and like she's saying, you're just not going to do it. You're going to be a different
What's the problem with cheating? Can we first explain why? Look, okay, so you have this random one night affair. Who cares? What does it matter? Yeah?
Actually, I think just like Clinton used to say, I just have I don't have sex relationship with the girl, but he said I have to have sex. So a relationship maybe is kind of thing is more than 3 times for sex. That is relationship. That is evil, right? Because that is for once I think it's a mistake. It's okay to do a mistake. It can be understand.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think the only way would be if the party who sort of committed the sin, did the cheating, the other partner can see that they feel genuinely bad for what they did. Because you can cheat and not really care or just surface.
I understand all this, but I'm saying like, okay, first let's establish what cheating does. Why is cheating a bad thing? Like, who cares? Yes?
Because you have broken a vow, a covenant, and you have to redeem or pay it in blood.
What vow?
So if they are married, then it's the vow that they made before God that they're going to be man and wife till death do them part.
And how do they make this vow?
In front of God.
And what do they? How do they make this vow?
At a ceremony.
At a ceremony, and what do? They spoke it out,
they
right?
They spoke it, they
signed it. They spoke it aloud.
Yeah.
Okay, do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So there's now this bond.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So when you cheat, what you're doing is you
have broken it.
You're breaking this bond. That's a problem.
Yeah, it's
right?
a huge thing, especially in a covenant, right? Because covenant basically means if you break it, you have to die or pay the price. I shall be like the animal that got cut in half. That's the initial covenant that was in the Bible.
That's right. So what you've done is you've changed the nature of the relationship from one based on trust to one now that is one of suspicion.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, that's a problem. The sex is not the issue. The affair is not the issue. The trust is the issue. Yes?
So this is why being with God is better than being with your boyfriend or girlfriend, because your boyfriend or girlfriend cannot read your mind. Like you can try to convince them. You can kneel on a keyboard and you can tell them, "I've changed. I promise," but they can choose to not believe you. But the good thing with God is that He can see all of you. If you bear yourself to Him, then He can see all of who you are, all of who you have become. And if you have truly moved on, if you have truly become a better person, then He will know it.
Okay, let me ask you this question, okay? Let's imagine your husband and you cheating your wife once, okay? What are you most likely to do next? Come on, guys. You'll do it again. And then what? You'll do it again. And then what? You'll do it again. You understand? So you bring that vow not only changes your relationship with your wife, it changes also who you are, your understanding of yourself. Right? Does it make sense? That's why bringing a vow is that serious. It's not like, okay, well, I got drunk and I did something stupid. No. You've just changed your understanding of yourself. We can also say you change how God perceives you. You're like, well, God doesn't really care if I cheat, so I'll do it again. Okay, do you understand? Okay? So this is what Dante is saying. These are very serious things. If you make a vow before God and before people, you're making a contract with yourself. And if you break this contract, you'll probably keep on doing it because it's changed the nature of your soul. Right? And there is no redemption for this. There's nothing you can do to repair this. Does that make sense? Okay? All right.
Your question you kept asking us is, what can we do now? And your answer seems to be nothing.
But what's the problem? What's the problem with this? Why is this so serious? Everything else is like, well, you know, if you just want to change, you'll change. But this is really serious. Why?
You've broken your vow to God, essentially.
That's right. And so what should you not do then?
So I understand that. So you're just saying once you've broken your vow, then you might as well lay down and die and go to hell? Go to Inferno?
No. The point here is that you have free will.
Sure.
You can do whatever you want. Do not make a vow to God unless you're willing to die for it.
Sure.
Right? Does that make sense? There are things you must take seriously. If you can just speak out anything you want, well, no consequence, then this universe has no meaning by itself.
So that was your answer, die.
Okay, so let's think about this, okay? You've broken your vow to God, right? And now you are in the lower sphere of heaven. What can you do now?
I don't think we've come to an answer.
Renew the vow. Okay, all right. So let's be precise about this, okay? We have another 10 minutes, okay? And let's really try to unpack this. Okay, so you made this vow to God or to your wife, okay? And again, don't make vows unless you're really serious about it, okay? Guys, don't make vows unless you can keep them, all right? No one's gonna make you do these vows. If you're gonna make these vows, you better keep them, all right? But then, for whatever reason, you have broken the vow. All right? Now, what I want to do is look into your psychology. Okay? How do you explain the fact that you broke this vow? What did Picard do?
Helplessness. I couldn't do anything about it.
Exactly, right? Like, yeah, I shit my wife, but I got drunk and she raped me, so it wasn't really my choice. Okay? So you say I'm helpless. Then what happens? Your psychology. All right, so I want to be precise, okay? This is really important if we're trying to understand divine comedy. You do something that breaks your vows. This causes you to feel helpless because you don't want to take responsibility, right? Then what happens?
It's kind of like what Eve did, shifting the blame to the serpent and be like, it's him that tempts me, it's not me that wants to do this. And that's what Adam did too, so essentially human.
Yeah, it's the same thing, but I'm saying what happens to Eve psychologically, right? When you blame someone else,
You lose agency.
you lose agency, and then what happens?
Become passive.
You mean?
Yeah, you become passive.
And can you ever change? You won't be able to change, okay? That's exactly what happened for Carter, right? She made a vow to God. Very, very serious, okay? The most serious thing you can do in your life is make a vow to God. Nothing else beats this, okay? That's number one. Number two is she's not able to keep this vow because she lacks the will. She's afraid. It's her fault. She shifts the blame and the responsibility to her brother, and then she just imagines herself as forever lacking agency. This makes her passive, and it makes her accept whatever comes her way, so that when she ends up in the lowest spheres of the heaven, she's like, I'm happy here, even though she's probably not happy there. You understand? Okay? So it's not that we can't be redeemed. It's just like we dig a hole and we bury ourselves in it so that it's impossible to redeem ourselves. Okay? Does that make sense, guys? Okay. But this does not answer the question, right? What can be done? Yeah?
I think on the topic of agency, first, she has to take back agency. We've already discussed that.
But she can't. She cannot take back agency. Why? Because her now entire worldview is based on her lack of agency. Do you understand?
Yeah.
She has to explain to herself why she didn't resist. The answer is she had no agency. And so she's like, but God doesn't give us agency. God demands our obedience. You understand?
Yeah, but
so with her worldview, it's impossible for her to exercise agency because agency is defiance of God.
Then change her worldview.
But you cannot change your worldview because it's your worldview. It's like telling a computer, change your software.
Knowledge.
It's your programming.
Knowledge. Like, if we want AI to change their worldview, if we want AI to change their views, then we feed them a lot of that kind of knowledge, and the AI changes its views.
Or she can just go take DMT.
Excuse me?
She can just go take a DMT and
Take what? But she's already in heaven, man. That does no good in heaven. Yes, did you
So wanting to be closer to God, I guess, like repent and move on. Or the whole Lamb of God, wash away the sin and then move on. I don't know.
who is the most important person who has ever lived? Jesus, right? Why is he important? Why is he so consequential? Why do you have 2 billion people believe in Jesus? Why? What does that mean?
He can bring us salvation.
Right, okay, so does it make sense? Jesus is so consequential because he provides a solution to an impossible problem, which is how do you redeem yourself, right? Because often you're in trouble because you think you deserve your fate. And for someone to come along and says that I forgive you unconditionally, I redeem you unconditionally, that's the most powerful idea in the universe, okay? So I know it's not satisfactory, but one possible solution is for someone else to forgive you. Because you can't forgive yourself, right?
So what you're basically saying is that she has to wait for someone else to save her.
And who would forgive her?
Jesus.
And who is Jesus?
Yeah.
God, right? And will God forgive you?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you turn towards God, God will always forgive you. So it's a question of faith, do you understand? Like, as long as you have the right faith, you can always change for the better because you know that God will always forgive you. Okay, so that's the solution. All right? The solution is to turn towards God because you will never find the solution in yourself. It's impossible because your worldview, right? You just come to the idea that, no, I'm helpless. I must obey God. And God wants me just to be here for the rest of my life, for all of eternity. Okay? All right? Does it make sense, guys?
Yeah.
And any more questions? Yes?
Yeah, so I think what you have said just reminded me of the memory in which there is Christianity, the believer who said that don't always try to be like a king. If you want to be king, then if you do something wrong, then it's very hard to forgive yourself. But if you just, let God to sit on your seat, royal seat, then you can be forgiven.
Yeah,
Is that
okay.
true?
So this is something that's really hard for us to appreciate, but our actions change our character. You understand? If you commit sin, it's not like, oh, you feel really bad and like you won't do it again. No, it's like once you commit sin, you begin to rationalize the sin and you do more of it, okay? And then the sin eventually consumes you, and that's how you end up in hell. Hell does not exist outside of us. Hell is a mental construct. It's a way for us to explain away our actions. Okay? Does that make sense? Yes?
So hell is not taking responsibility and not forgiving yourself.
Hell is not forgiving yourself. Yes, exactly. That's what hell literally is. Not forgiving yourself. And we'll see that when we actually go back and visit the inferno, okay? All right? But it's important that we first start off with paradise so we understand the cosmology, okay? Any more questions, guys? Okay, so that's it for the first day. We have another couple minutes. So let me talk about how you can make the most out of your experience today, okay? So the first thing I will say is you guys need to go back and review what we just read today, okay? Trust me, if you do this, you're gonna have a lot more insight into Dante. Okay, so we've had this amazing whole day discussion. We've read a lot, thanks to Carol. But go back and review for yourself. Read for yourself the first 4 cantos and make sure you understand everything. Okay? If there's something you don't understand, come tomorrow with questions. All right? Just make sure you review today. Come tomorrow with questions. All right? So we'll spend the first part of tomorrow morning just answering any questions you have about Dante. All right? Make sure you understand everything. If there's a reference you don't understand, like who is Glaucus, who is Daphne, go make sure you understand the stuff. Okay? Just read up on it. And the third thing I will say is always trust your intuition and your imagination. If it feels right to you, it's probably right. If it feels wrong to you, it's probably wrong. Okay? So if it feels wrong to you, say it. Be honest. Challenge me. Direct me. Okay? Be like, think about Beatrice and Dante, right? They're in heaven, and what do? They argue. They debate. They question each other. Okay? Excuse me?
Such a great married relationship.
Yes. Okay. Yes. No. Yeah. That's exactly right. Okay. All right. So that's that. But like how Beatrice and Dante interact with each other. I hope that this can also be like that. Okay. Our classroom can also be one of constant questioning, debate, open and honest dialogue. All right. Okay, guys. So that's great. That's it for today. I will see everyone tomorrow. We start at 10 o'clock. Okay. Okay.